Chapter 306. This huge rock wall from a distance looked extremely smooth. Looking closer, it was densely covered with sword marks as if someone had practiced swordsmanship here. In Yang Ruoyun's surprised gaze, Han Fei stepped on the rock wall and rose straight up. He covered his body with a spiritual energy protective cover and was not afraid of the danger that would appear. The rock wall was less than 100 meters high. Han Fei was not afraid of this distance at all. Just when he landed on the rock wall, he suddenly sensed something. The sword marks on the rock wall seemed to be alive. Sword shadows seemed to be passing through the void, stabbing straight at Han Fei. The corner of Han Fei's mouth twitched. He turned his body, exerted strength under his feet, and easily dodged some sword shadows. But as he climbed higher and higher, those sword shadows became denser and denser. Soon, these sword shadows had become so dense that they were covered with sword light. Han Fei could no longer avoid them completely with the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies. Swish, swish, swish. In Yang Ruoyun's shocked gaze, blue sea wandering dragon daggers emerged from Han Fei's body one after another. In just a moment, Han Fei was covered with crisscrossing sword shadows, and the rock wall was scratched one after another. In the blink of an eye, Han Fei was almost close to the sword hilt. But before he grabbed the sword hilt, the sword intent around him was dense. He only saw that the sword shadows were getting faster and faster, and the sword momentum was continuous. The blue sea wandering dragon daggers couldn't defend against them all. If these sword shadows were real swords, Han Fei wouldn't worry. But these were just sword shadows, which would dissipate after being intercepted by the blue sea wandering dragon daggers. But because they were not real, these sword shadows had no possibility of being damaged and would only condense again. At this moment, Han Fei felt a very strong sword intent. Ordinary peak-level great fishing masters would be killed in the blink of an eye if they encountered these sword shadows. These sword shadows had reached the strength of a beginner dangling fisher. Besides, the sword shadows were too dense. Fortunately, it was Han Fei who came to draw the swords this time. Xiu having practiced the saber-commanding art and the saber sutra, Han Fei's offensive of the blue sea wandering dragon daggers also became stronger and stronger as the sword shadows increased. In just a moment, there was a fierce battle on the rock wall above. In Yang Ruoyun's horrified gaze, Han Fei actually held the sword hilt with one hand. Bang! He pulled out the big sword, and a vigorous sword intent burst out from the sword, making clanging sounds on Han Fei's spiritual energy protective cover. Gotcha! The spiritual energy protective cover was broken, and some sword shadows fell on Han Fei, making clanking sounds. It's just a sword. What's there to be arrogant about? The sword in Han Fei's hand was shaking as if it wanted to leave his palm. Han Fei immediately sensed that he might have encountered a spiritual weapon with a spirit. Clang! Han Fei grabbed a blue sea wandering dragon dagger and chopped the big sword with brute force. Dang dang dang! If you don't listen, then I'll beat you until you do. Boom! Han Fei jumped off the rock wall and threw the big sword in his hand into the sky. Dozens of blue sea wandering dragon daggers surrounded it and slashed it hard. Yang Ruoyun was dumbfounded when she saw this scene. It was a spirit tool. Although a spirit tool was not very precious, the spirit chi that sealed a spirit would only wait for the fated one. It had never been heard of anyone subduing a spirit tool. However, one of them appeared in front of her. After only a few minutes, the big sword was stabbed into the ground and didn't want to move anymore. If the big sword could speak, it would definitely cry to Han Fei. Did I offend you in any way? I've never seen you slash like this. I'm a spirit tool. Don't you think I'm a spirit tool? At this moment, Han Fei carefully checked the information of the sword. Wind sword made of wind rock essence stone, the sword weighs 3,000 kilograms, is extremely hard, and has the power to cut through the wind. Mid-quality spiritual weapon anti-heaven knife note. Because the level of its soul attachment is too low, It can only be cast into a mid-quality spiritual weapon at most. Ha! No wonder it gave up so quickly. It turns out to be an anti-heaven knife fish. Han Fei picked up the wind sword with one hand. Its weight was moderate, but he didn't use a sword. Besides, he didn't want an anti-heaven knife as a weapon spirit. It was not much better than his blue sea wandering dragon daggers. He was about to throw the wind sword in to forge the universe, but he saw that Yang Ruoyun was staring at the sword. Han Fei smiled. You want it? Okay, what can you give me in exchange? Yang Ruoyun took a deep look at Han Fei. You have so many spiritual weapons. Do you still need this one? Han Fei shrugged. I don't need it. But whether I need it or not, it's mine. If you want it, you have to give me something in exchange. Yang Ruoyun nodded. There is a spirit-level ultra-quality combat skill called Wind Sword 9 Slashes. Do you want to exchange it? Han Fei chuckled and pointed to the 9 statues standing there. Is that the combat skill you're talking about? No. Sorry, I don't like it. Yang Ruoyun was silent. She was a human. What could she give in exchange for a spiritual weapon? Han Fei waved his hand and the 9-tailed mantis shrimp took back the chain. Han Fei said indifferently, Forget it. For the sake of the information you told me, I'll spare your life. Don't even think about this spiritual weapon. It's a spiritual weapon with a weapon spirit. It's worth hundreds of thousands of mid-quality pearls. I won't exchange it with you if you don't have something decent. Yang Ruoyun got up, her face pale. Spiritual weapons are precious. I can't afford it. Goodbye. He didn't waste any time. Since she couldn't get it, she might as well leave. Yang Ruoyun was worried that if Han Fei wanted to kill her, she wouldn't be able to resist him. Han Fei didn't stop her and watched Yang Ruoyun leave with a smile. In his heart, he was thinking about one thing. He had to reforge his weapon. Now, all he could offer was the blue sea wandering dragon daggers. The once invincible water-stirring seal was about to crack at this moment. The snow-silver rod, which originally had some use, was now useless. After Yang Ruoyun left, Han Fei asked the 9-tailed mantis shrimp to guard the door. If anyone came in, kill them on the spot. Han Fei sat on the ground and a small calabash appeared in his hand. The water-stirring seal, the wind sword, the blue sea wandering dragon bone, the fire origin crystal, Sun Ye's spiritual sword, the snow-silver rod, and the treasured rod he got these days were all stuffed into the calabash. Hey! Refine. Han Fei felt that his spiritual energy was plummeting. This time, it could be said that he had made a huge investment. 2 spirit artifacts with sealed spirits, many top-grade magic treasures, and treasured staff materials were all thrown in. If the level 3 fishery was really as dangerous as Yang Ruoyun said, a good weapon was indispensable. And all these materials were used to make a small seal. However, the material value was much higher than that of the water-stirring seal. This time, he consumed more spiritual energy than when he refined the blue sea wandering dragon daggers. A blue sea wandering dragon dagger required about 50,000 points of spiritual energy, and the finished product was only a low-quality spiritual weapon. But this time, Han Fei felt that his spiritual energy was consumed 10 times. In his mind, a palm-sized seal with a Pisces on top and a square seal on the bottom appeared. The demon purification pot, on the other hand, quickly produced such a small seal according to Han Fei's imagination. Han Fei sensed that many materials were turning into nothingness. Only a fingernail-sized piece of the original water-stirring seal was left. The snow-silver rod had also turned into a fingernail-sized unknown white substance. The other treasure rods were even worse than the snow-silver rod. A large amount of impurities had been refined and evaporated. In the end, it was the wind sword and Sun Ye's spirit sword that provided a large amount of high-grade materials. After a while, Han Fei consumed nearly 500,000 points of spiritual energy, and a blue seal appeared in front of him. Data appeared in his eyes. Water-dividing water market was forged from hundreds of rare materials. Weighing more than 5,000 kilograms, it could suppress all directions, break through waves, and shake water. It was incomparably hard, and only supreme-grade spirit artifacts could break it. Upper-grade spiritual weapon note: because the soul has not been attached, it can only forge high-grade spiritual weapons at most. It could be promoted according to the quality of the soul-possessing creature. Han Fei grinned and dropped a drop of blood into his body, allowing the water-dividing seal to enter his body again. When he summoned it again, with a thought in his mind, a huge seal appeared in midair. Big Han Fei was testing the limit of the water-dividing seal. When the shadow of the seal reached 50 meters, Han Fei felt that it was almost unbearable. The bigger the phantom, the more spiritual energy it needed to provide, and the more powerful it would be. He knew that the water-dividing seal could grow bigger, but it wasn't strong enough. The shadow in the sky was getting smaller and smaller. When it shrank to about 30 meters, Han Fei felt that the attack power of the water-dividing seal reached a peak. Wow, it's related to the upper limit of spiritual energy. Han Fei felt it. The power of this phantom was related to the limit of his tolerance. When he used the water-stirring seal before, it was always a dozen meters big. At that time, because the level of the water-stirring seal was low and his spiritual energy tolerance was high, he didn't feel it. This time, he felt it. His weapon needed to be supported by his own power. Therefore, in theory, the stronger he was, the stronger his weapon would be. Although this water-dividing seal almost consumed all the materials Han Fei had, he didn't feel that it was a loss at all. Instead, he felt that he had made a profit. Of course, he knew that the more materials he had, the better it was. No matter how many ultra-quality rods he had, he couldn't refine a mid-quality spiritual rod. After all, it depended on the materials. It was possible to cross one minor level, but it was very difficult to cross two minor levels. Now, although the water-stirring seal had only changed from an ultra-quality magic weapon to a high-quality spiritual weapon, it was still a powerful weapon. However, its level was immediately different. Han Fei waved his hand casually. Rumble! On the huge rock wall, a huge pit several meters deep was pressed by the water-dividing seal. Han Fei's move directly destroyed the beauty of the flawless wall. Chapter 307. Han Fei weighed the water-dividing seal in his hand. The knife had a blue sea wandering dragon dagger and a water-dividing seal. In the future, when his strength was further improved, he should be able to use that mysterious stick. In this way, Han Fei felt that he had reached a peak in terms of weapons and equipment. In this level 3 fishery, it wouldn't be a problem for him to roam freely in the ordinary areas of the level 3 fishery. Han Fei looked at the demon purification pot again. The words that were about to pop out seemed to be a little short. This was definitely a new function. Han Fei decided to continue to look for spiritual fruits after he went out. He was not in a hurry to board the dragon boat and explore the place. He had a whole year to explore the place. His top priority now was to improve his abilities comprehensively. It would be best if he could accidentally find another small secret realm, dig some spiritual spring out, and complete the deduction of the 4th level of the void fishing art. Han Fei searched the treasure trove again and didn't stop until he found that there was nothing left. Just when Han Fei was about to leave, he suddenly changed his expression and ran back to the rock wall. The blue sea wandering dragon daggers in his hand flew out and quickly carved on the rock wall. After a while, a weird human-shaped posture was carved out. Han Fei looked at his masterpiece with satisfaction. This was the first secret realm he explored, so he would leave the first posture of the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies. There was taking and there was giving back. This could also be considered as leaving a trace of opportunity for others. When he finished exploring the 108 danger zones, he would leave behind all 108 postures. One day, someone would collect all of them. At that time, in the 108th dangerous place he had been to, he would also leave a fish skin map, and he would be able to call himself a master like Ren Tianfen did. Thinking of this, Han Fei felt a sense of accomplishment. He just didn't know how strong he would be at that time. After doing all this, Han Fei came out of the secret realm. He looked around and didn't find any trace of Yang Ruoyun, so he summoned Little Gold, Little Black, and Little White and continued to look for spiritual fruits. 7 days later, Han Fei didn't deliberately look for those dangerous places. On the contrary, he ran more to ordinary places. How should he put it? Han Fei thought, if a dangerous place produces spiritual fruits, then it doesn't look special at all. During these 7 days, Han Fei did not encounter any dangerous places. Apart from digging 100 poison fruit in a snake pit, he didn't encounter any special danger. As for the 100 poisons fruit, it was actually a much more advanced detoxifying spirit fruit than the exotic poisons fruit. After taking it, it could resist black-grade poisons. This couldn't be considered a high-grade treasure, but it was better than nothing. In the endless sea realm, there were too many poisonous creatures. Although these spirit fruits that could increase one's poison resistance could also be bought, they were expensive. Since he had encountered it, there was no reason for him to give up. At this moment, after killing a rare red-haired big-mouthed crab guardian beast, he picked a spiritual fruit and stuffed it into his mouth. This was the 16th spiritual fruit Han Fei had dug up in the past 7 days. His ability to find spiritual fruits was probably at the 3rd level. It was the only one in the level 3 fishery. The moment the spiritual fruit entered his mouth, Han Fei felt a stinging pain on his wrist. Han Fei was overjoyed and quickly closed his eyes. Sure enough, 2 large words appeared in the dark chaos. Spirit attachment. Han Fei was slightly taken aback. He had seen this word too many times. In the introduction of each of his spiritual weapons, there were these 2 words. Han Fei immediately realized what was going on. The so-called spirit attachment turned out to be a way to endow a spiritual weapon with a soul. In other words, it was a way to add a spirit to a spiritual weapon. Immediately, Han Fei was ecstatic. Good heavens! I've always heard that spiritual weapons have spirits, but I never knew how to add spirits to spiritual weapons. He had even browsed through them in the library of the university. Unfortunately, he had very little knowledge about refining. Most of the students from the Rampage Academy were fanatics who liked to fight. It would be strange if they had left any refining methods behind. At this moment, Han Fei suddenly realized that the demon purification pot could inject the souls of demonic fish into weapons. The wind sword he pulled out of the secret realm a few days ago was a mid-quality spiritual weapon because it was infused with the demonic soul of the anti-heaven blade. Therefore, the sword had some spirituality. Now, this spirit attachment function was a complete surprise. Han Fei had never thought that he would unlock such an awesome ability in just a few days. Immediately, Han Fei received a message that to activate this function, he needed 1 million points of spiritual energy. Wow, Han Fei was a little speechless. How much spiritual energy did it cost to activate Forge the Universe? 10,000 or 5,000 points. Why does this spirit attachment function need 1 million points of spiritual energy? That's more than 100 times more. However, what Han Fei didn't know was that although there were many refiners, there were very few refiners who could seal spirit. Although it was reasonable to endow a spiritual weapon with a spirit, the meaning was completely different. In order to achieve this, the price one had to pay was also different. However, Han Fei was only slightly surprised and then didn't take it seriously anymore. The spiritual fruits collected in the past few days added up to more than 1 million points of spiritual energy. Therefore, it was worth it for him to spend this bit of spiritual energy. Activate. Han Fei only saw the small gourd appear in the palm of his hand, and a large amount of spiritual energy poured in as if being absorbed by the gourd itself. After about half an hour, the small gourd gradually calmed down. Then, it turned into a tattoo again and was imprinted on Han Fei's wrist. With a thought, Han Fei waved his fishing rod and caught an anti-heaven blade. Han Fei immediately threw a blue sea wandering dragon dagger and an anti-heaven blade into the demon purification pot. Spirit attachment. After a while, Han Fei found that his spiritual energy decreased by 50,000 points. Immediately, his heart skipped a beat. It only cost me 50,000 points of spiritual energy to refine a blue sea wandering dragon dagger, but you need 50,000 points of spiritual energy to attach your soul to it? Of course, the level of the blue sea wandering dragon dagger had changed. Blue sea wandering dragon dagger forged with the bones of the blue sea wandering dragon, the dagger contains extreme coldness. Once pierced by this dagger, the enemy's veins and meridians can be frozen instantly. Mid-quality spiritual weapon anti-heaven blade, reconfigurable. Han Fei thought for a moment. That's not a loss. The water-dividing seal consumed a lot of materials and spiritual energy, but it was only a high-quality spiritual weapon. The quality of the blue sea wandering dragon dagger was immediately improved after attaching its soul to an anti-heaven blade. This was already a big profit. Han Fei immediately threw the blue sea wandering dragon dagger in his hand at a mess-swallowing worm hiding in the sand. As a result, the blue sea wandering dragon dagger had the effect of double shadow. Its power has indeed increased a lot. Han Fei didn't kill the mess-swallowing worm, but crippled it and then used it to reset the effect of spirit attachment. After a while, another 80,000 points of spiritual energy were consumed, but the quality of the dagger was still a mid-quality spiritual weapon, and the spirit attachment state was that of a mess-swallowing worm. This time, Han Fei controlled the blue sea wandering dragon daggers again, only to find that the effect of double shadow disappeared, replaced by a very fast explosive power. If the speed of the blue sea wandering dragon daggers before was 100, now it had become 200. This kind of growth was simply terrifying. Han Fei's heart trembled, and he began to consider. First, according to different species, the spiritual energy consumed for spirit attachment was different. Second, the characteristics of the spirit attachment creatures were different, and the weapons would have some of the characteristics of such creatures. After a few attempts, Han Fei had a plan in mind. The characteristics of the water-dividing seal were that it was heavy and strong. Then, theoretically, if he attached it to a huge turtle-like creature, its heavy characteristics would be further strengthened. The characteristics of the blue sea wandering dragon daggers were cold and fast, so he should find a creature with similar characteristics. By doing so, at least one of these two attributes could be strengthened. Unfortunately, Han Fei didn't immediately hunt a large number of mess-swallowing worms to attach to his soul. Because although the effect was very good, the consumption of spiritual energy was also quite large. He didn't even need to attach to his soul 100 times, and his spiritual energy would be consumed up. To be conservative, in order to enhance his combat power, Han Fei attached 10 blue sea wandering dragon daggers in a row and spent another 800,000 points of spiritual energy. After such a consumption, Han Fei couldn't help but smile bitterly. Originally, he wanted to find spiritual energy to deduce the void fishing art. However, he used less and less spiritual energy. In just a few days, his spiritual energy reserve had dropped from more than 5 million points to a little more than 4 million points. No way. If I keep looking for spiritual fruits, I can only attach a few more spiritual weapons. It seems that it's time to find a real dangerous place. Chapter 308. In the Level 3 fishery, it was normal to go to dangerous places to hunt for treasures. However, the biggest problem was that ordinary people couldn't find dangerous places at all. For example, at this moment, although Han Fei was holding the map in his hand, he was still confused. The previous small secret realm was not marked on Old Bai's map at all, so Han Fei had no reference at all. After searching hard on the bottom of the sea for 2 days, Han Fei finally couldn't stand it anymore and was going to see if he could board the dragon boat. Han Fei's idea was to determine the location of a certain dangerous place on the map through the route of the dragon boat, and then use the map to locate it. Otherwise, the sea was everywhere and there was no reference. Who would know where it was? On this day, Han Fei put away Little Gold and rode the nine-tailed mantis shrimp, ready to go to the sea. What a coincidence! Han Fei was swimming back when he saw a flash of spiritual light in the distance. He thought it was some exotic creature. However, when he took a closer look, he was surprised to find that it was Yang Ruoyun who was driven away by him 2 days ago. Is she looking for me? No, she is being chased. Yang Ruoyun was also taken aback when she saw Han Fei and quickly said, "Help me." Han Fei blinked and responded, "Don't run to me. I'm not your relative. Why should I help you?" Yang Ruoyun immediately responded, "I know a secret realm." Han Fei was shocked. "Come on. Let's roar at the sight of injustice. I usually don't hesitate to lend a helping hand to those who are in distress." Yang Ruoyun was speechless. "You've changed too fast, haven't you? I can't even turn a page as fast as you." However, at this moment, she seemed to be exhausted and couldn't run anymore. Being able to meet such a strong man in this vast sea was her last straw of hope. Han Fei immediately stood in front of Yang Ruoyun and saw 4 figures behind her. Yang Ruoyun hid behind Han Fei. Only then did Han Fei discover that the girl's lower abdomen had been pierced and there were 7 or 8 wounds on her body. Obviously, she had been badly beaten. When Han Fei vaguely saw those people, his face suddenly changed. Damn it! Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Aren't they the 4 ghost ship runners who ambushed me last time? Han Fei immediately said, "You stay here. Otherwise, it's useless even if you run away. You're so heavily injured, only I can save you." With that, Han Fei shot out. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Last time, he had been tricked by these people. This time, since they had already bumped into them, how could they let them escape so easily? The movements of the 4 opponents slowed down. That woman has helpers? Impossible! How could he coincidentally meet another person in this vast ocean? Most importantly, even if you have an accomplice, isn't this guy a little too fierce? Can't you see there are 4 of us here? He still dared to charge in this direction? However, when Han Fei approached them quickly, the faces of the 4 of them changed drastically. Isn't this the young man from the other day? Why is he still in this sea area? The 4 of them were also speechless. If it were an ordinary person, they would have swum away after dozens of days. But Han Fei had stayed here for more than 10 days. This didn't make sense. In the blink of an eye, the 4 of them turned around and ran. The most important thing about ghost ship runners was their eyesight. This young man was obviously not an ordinary person. A normal person would not chase after 4 people like a crazy snake to slash at them. Han Fei said, "Don't go, you thieves. If you want to live, then all of you, stop right there. Otherwise, I'll chase you to the ends of the earth." The faces of the 4 of them were extremely dark. For the first time, the 4 of them were threatened by a young man. But they didn't dare to look back. Han Fei was too fast. In just a little time, the distance between Han Fei and them had been shortened by more than half. At this moment, Han Fei was still accelerating. Run separately. Seeing that they ran separately again, Han Fei's face turned green. He would never chase that manipulator again. He immediately changed to the one with the sledgehammer. Usually, people with strong limbs couldn't run fast. As a matter of fact, Han Fei was quickly approaching them. The big man with the hammer said, "Little friend, we've settled the score. You'd better preserve your strength in this vast sea area." Han Fei scoffed. "Shut up. You want to run after beating me? That's ridiculous." Far away, Yang Ruoyun was dumbfounded. Those are ghost ship killers. He was chasing after 4 assassins on the ghost ship. Was he hallucinating? The problem was that those ghost ship killers ran as soon as they saw Han Fei. What kind of logic was this? Swish, swish, swish. Before they arrived, the knives arrived first. The 10 blue sea wandering dragon daggers, which were all mid-quality spiritual weapons with souls attached to them, doubled their attack speed. The big man hurriedly waved his hammer, trying to block them. But the next moment, he only heard the sound of flesh being torn apart. Under his hammer, he didn't even hit a single knife. He was shocked. But just when he wanted to run again, he suddenly found that he couldn't run anymore. This saber actually had a strong ice-cold intent. He could feel the place where he was injured being frozen, and he staggered a little. "Hey, where are you going? Eat my seal." The big man saw the phantom of a big seal appear behind him. At this time, he didn't care whether he could run or not. What he cared about was whether he could block it or not. Bm, spiritual energy surged on the sledgehammer and collided head-on with the water-dividing seal. Gotcha! In the midst of the man's shock, his spirit artifact sledgehammer had actually been forcibly smashed into pieces. Rumble! The big man was smashed into the bottom of the sea and hit the sand, raising a billowing dust dozens of meters high. Delayed by this big man, Han Fei knew that he couldn't catch the other three. So, he landed on the bottom of the sea and waited for the dust to disperse. After a while, Yang Ruoyan followed him, and the dust was almost gone. She only saw a burly man holding a hammer, lying in a large pit. His body was bleeding profusely, and blood was flowing out of his 7 orifices. Gulp! Yang Ruoyan stole a glance at Han Fei. Fortunately, she didn't sneak up on Han Fei last time, or she wouldn't have been able to resist such a fierce blow. The answer was obviously no. Han Fei said telepathically, "Tell me, where are your companions?" The big man's bones were broken, and he struggled to reply, "Ghost. The people on the ghost ship, life and death, are fated. If I die in danger, I die. They won't care about me." Han Fei sneered, "Hee, since you fled separately, you must have a way or a fixed place to meet again. Take me there, and I can spare your life. I mean what I say. Look at the girl next to me. She tried to kill me before, but I let her go too, didn't I?" The big man gritted his teeth and refused to speak. "Why would I believe you? In the level 3 fishery, nobody's **T could be trusted. That was an iron law." Han Fei narrowed his eyes and waved his hand, spraying the divine healing light on the big man and Yang Ruoyan. Instantly, the two of them were extremely shocked. "Are you a spirit gatherer?" Both the big man and Yang Ruoyan were dumbfounded. "You're using King Saber and Seal. You're clearly a soul warrior. How did you become a spirit gatherer in the blink of an eye?" Han Fei stepped on the ground and a spirit gathering array appeared. The spiritual energy on his fingertips was injected into the bodies of the two people. Han Fei said leisurely, "I'm new to the level 3 fishery and I'm not familiar with the place. I need a few guides. Do you think I'm chasing you to kill you?" The big man was stunned. "Aren't you?" Han Fei said disdainfully, "Killing is never the best choice. Aren't you in the ghost ship business? Take me with you. I'll be your boss. Aren't I better than the 4 of you?" The big man. Yang Ruoyan. The two of them looked at Han Fei dumbfoundedly. "What do you mean? You want to run a ghost ship business?" The big man looked at Han Fei in a daze, only to see Han Fei pick him up and say to Yang Ruoyan, "Let's go to the sea." After a moment, on the fishing boat, Han Fei said lazily, "What's in it for me to kill you? You deserve to die of poverty with this method of running the ghost ship that relies on luck." Han Fei looked at the big man disdainfully and said, "Why are you still holding the handle of a hammer? You don't even have a mid-quality spiritual weapon. How dare you call yourself a ghost ship business?" The big man swallowed. Then, Han Fei interrupted him forcefully, "Then what? Later, when I get the materials that can be used to forge spiritual weapons, I will give each of you a mid-quality spiritual weapon with a sealed soul. But the premise is that you must be my subordinate." The big man swallowed and his mind raced. Of course, they knew how expensive a mid-quality spiritual weapon with a sealed soul was. If they didn't have a sealed spirit, they believed that they would be able to afford it. However, spiritual weapons were called spiritual weapons because they had spirit. A weapon with a sealed soul was not something that ordinary blacksmiths could make. The big man took a deep breath. I'm Wang Yi. Nice to meet you, Han Fei said, young master. I'm Wang Yi. Nice to meet you, young master. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 309. Han Fei didn't feel anything about Wang Yi's submission. As far as the current situation was concerned, it was entirely because the other party was suppressed by his force. But even so, he didn't care. The reason why he wanted to engage in the ghost ship business was that these people wandered in the level 3 fishery all year round. Wandering in the level 3 fishery, he must know a lot. In addition, Han Fei also felt that this was a very promising industry. It was easy to rob people. What if he could rob something good? Han Fei looked at Wang Yi. Let's go find your companions. Wang Yi obviously hesitated, then nodded and took the initiative to control the fishing boat. After a moment, about 600 kilometers away from the previous position, Wang Yi stopped the fishing boat. Young master, here it is. Han Fei nodded slightly. You too, follow me. Yang Ruoyun didn't object. In fact, she was now the real fish meat. Han Fei didn't say whether she should join the ghost ship business or not. As a result, the only value she had left now was that she knew a secret realm. Underwater. Han Fei found that there were a lot of shipwrecks here. In just a small area, there were nearly 100 shipwrecks. Wang Yi said to him via voice transmission, this used to be a dangerous place. A deep-sea octopus lurked here for a long time and often attacked passing fishing boat. So, some strong masters came here and broke through this place. Han Fei responded, so, this has become your rendezvous place? Wang Yi nodded. Han Fei was speechless. Who would come to such a remote place? He had been running for many days and hadn't seen many people. How many people could he rob in such a place? Suddenly, the corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up slightly. Oh, what a coincidence! Why do we meet again? Underwater, Han Fei saw the 3 guys who ran away. At this moment, the 3 people were shocked and were about to run. Han Fei immediately said to them, don't run. Don't you see Wang Yi is beside me? Can't you see Wang Yi beside me? Han Fei didn't know if his voice transmission would work, so he looked at Wang Yi. Han Fei didn't know if his voice transmission would work or not, so he looked at Wang Yi. Han Fei said to Wang Yi, tell them. I can promise them what I promised you. Han Fei said to Wang Yi via voice transmission, just tell them that I can promise them what I promised you. Han Fei decided to draw the pie first. It would be the greatest kindness of him if he let them go. Wang Yi nodded and continued transmitting his voice. After a moment, a voice echoed in Han Fei's head, how can I guarantee that you won't attack us? Han Fei said disdainfully, attack you? What do you have that's worth me attacking? Are your weapons better than mine, or are you richer than me? Am I attracted to your good looks, or am I attracted to your handsome looks? Don't think too highly of yourself. Believe it or not, I can smash you to death with mid-quality pearls. Everyone's expression changed slightly. These words were too arrogant, but if what Wang Yi said was true, then how strong was this young man? The female manipulator swam a few steps forward and looked at Han Fei. Then what's so special about us that you want to recruit us? Han Fei smiled. You're in SN. How long have you been in the level 3 fishery? The female manipulator replied, almost 3 years. Han Fei nodded. I recruited you because you are familiar with this place. Against Sen you know more about the level 3 fishery than I do. When I know enough about this fishery you can go. Another gun-wielding man said, then who knows if you will kill us then? Han Fei rolled his eyes at him. I told you, what's in it for me to kill you? You are worth less than a mid-quality spiritual weapon. What's the point of killing you? Hearing Han Fei's words, everyone's face turned blue and pale. Do you really think we have lived for 3 years for nothing? We are all junior peak-level dangling fishers. Each of us has a spiritual weapon and have obtained a lot of opportunities. How can you say we are worthless? In the end, Han Fei said, forget it. It's up to you whether you want to come or not. Anyway, I don't expect anything from you. If you don't want to go with me, continue to run on your ghost boat. If you die one day, don't regret today's opportunity. With that, Han Fei swam back. Although he needed someone to tell him about the Level 3 fishery. Although he was in the Level 3 fishery, he wouldn't be suspected if he talked to a group of people for a long time. On the fishing boat. In the end, they still managed to catch up. Although they all felt it was ridiculous. As 4 dangling fishers, they surrendered to someone of the same level? Han Fei glanced at them, then pointed to the boundless sea and said, Look, what the hell is this place? I can't see a single person. You are running on a ghost boat. Really? I don't want to scold you. You don't even know how to rob. Everyone. Han Fei sneered. The best way is, of course, to find the dragon boat first. Then, look for targets on the dragon boat. After the target leaves the dragon boat, follow them and take them down in one fell swoop. Look, it's so simple. Han Fei seemed to be angry that he didn't want to work hard. At this moment, he was teaching them earnestly. Wang Yi and the other 3 were dumbfounded. Damn, are you still an ordinary teenager? You are a robber, aren't you? The hunter among the 4 was named Zhao Haitao. He said, Those who dare to get off the dragon boat are all masters. With our strength, it's very difficult for us to follow them and hunt them. The female manipulator named Chen Yuan also added, Originally, we had an armorist, but he died because of a failed hunt. Han Fei looked at the spear-wielding soul warrior named Lu Han. Lu Han smiled bitterly and said, The ghost boat business is not tolerated by the cultivators in the Level 3 fishery. It's not tolerated by the cultivators in the Level 3 fishery. In fact, many people will deliberately attract our attention and use themselves as bait to trick us. Excuses. Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, To put it bluntly, it's because you are not strong enough and your weapons are too poor. In the Level 3 fishery, instead of treasure hunting, you come out to do business with mediocre strength. If you don't trick them, who do they want to trick? Hearing Han Fei's words, the faces of the 4 people turned red and blue. They never dreamed that one day they would be taught a lesson by a teenager because they did not do a good job on the ghost boat business. Han Fei waved his hand and said, Do you know where the nearest dragon boat is? Chen Yuan said, A month ago there was a dragon boat heading west from here. I'm afraid it's too late for us to catch up now. Han Fei asked curiously, So? We can only wait? Everyone nodded. Han Fei was speechless. There are too few dragon boat. It's up to luck to get on one. Everyone, Han Fei asked again, Then do you know any dangerous secret realms that others don't know about? Tell me and we'll go there one by one. I'm sure you won't suffer any losses. Wang Yi paused. Young master, the nearest secret realm that we know has not been explored much is 100,000 kilometers away. Puff, Han Fei was dumbfounded. You just let it go? Everyone was embarrassed and Wang Yi said, It's not that we went there by mistake, but that place is a bit close to the seaborne grassland. We approached it once, but our armorist was killed there. Han Fei clicked his tongue. 5 dangling fishers and an armorist were killed? It seems that secret realm is not bad. Okay, after we explore the nearby secret realms, we'll go there. Wang Yi hurriedly said, Young master, it's very dangerous there. Han Fei glared at him. Is that all you've got? If it's not dangerous, how can it be called a dangerous place? If it's not dangerous, how can it be called a secret realm? No wonder you're still dangling fishers. It turns out that you're afraid of danger. Everyone was speechless again, thinking, That's enough. How many times have you hit us? Han Fei looked at Yang Ruyan. Well, where is the secret realm you mentioned? Yang Ruyan's face showed a little struggle. It's less than 10,000 kilometers from here, but I couldn't enter that place. Within 10,000 kilometers. Wang Yi and the others looked at each other. Then Wang Yi asked, "Is there any dangerous place within 10,000 kilometers?" Yang Ruoyan explained, "It's covered by ice clouds and white mist. I wanted to go in once, but I felt a powerful aura, so I retreated." White mist salt marsh? Chen Yuan and the others couldn't help exclaiming. Han Fei frowned. Don't you know it? Why do you tell me there's no such place? Wang Yi nodded. Young master, we know about the white mist salt marsh. The reason why it's different is that there is a special salt marsh under that water area, which is very salty. Therefore, when ordinary creatures enter it, they will die of dehydration due to the difference in salinity inside and outside. Chen Yuan added, "Yes, we have explored that place deeply, but our ability is not enough to support us to sink deep. Besides, there is no dangerous aura there, right?" Everyone looked at Yang Run. How could there be creatures living in a place with extremely high salt content? At least they had never encountered one. Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, "Let's go and take a look. We'll know. Just because you can't get in doesn't mean I can't." Chapter 310. One day later. Under the leadership of Han Fei, they came to the white mist salt marsh. Underwater, about 500 meters deep, Han Fei saw the salt marsh. At this moment, he finally understood why this place was called the White Mist Salt Marsh. This was because in this extremely vast area, the condensation of salt had caused a large area to appear in a misty state. There were not many creatures here. Outside the range of the White Mist Salt Marsh, there were a large number of white coral reefs, which seemed to have been dead for a long time. In these coral reefs, the corpses of creatures could be seen everywhere, such as anti-heaven blades, dead octopuses, dead crabs, dead shrimp, dead snails, scattered everywhere. At the edge of the coral reefs, just like the shore of the White Mist Salt Marsh, there were some cyan sea snakes, jumping into the White Mist Salt Marsh from time to time. To Han Fei's surprise, once these cyan sea snakes jumped into the White Mist Salt Marsh, they would start to go crazy, and then twist their bodies like fried dough twists, as if they were sucking drugs. They seemed to have fallen into a hallucination. After a while, these sea snakes would run out of the White Mist Salt Marsh, spitting out circles of white mist from their mouths from time to time. Yang Ruoyan explained, "There seems to be a kind of psychedelic power in this white mist, which can excite these sea snakes, but they will also die if they stay for a long time. After all, the salinity inside is very high." Han Fei turned his head to look at them. "Do you want to go down?" Yang Ruoyan shook her head. "I can't." Wang Yi and the others also shook their heads. "Are you kidding me?" Even with Han Fei, a spirit gatherer, they wouldn't go down. They couldn't go down not only because of the lack of spiritual energy, but also because they couldn't resist the hallucinogenic effect here. Han Fei snorted. "If you don't want to go down, then I will. If you think I can't get out, you can leave. But if you leave, you'd better not let me meet you again." Han Fei's goal was achieved. In his opinion, even if this was not a secret realm, there must be treasures in such a special situation. Therefore, in his opinion, the value of Wang Yi and the others was much lower than this White Mist Salt Marsh. However, since he was going to take them with him for a period of time, he had to consider their basic character. The seawater around Han Fei was rolling, and an invisible water ball immediately enveloped him. Yang Ruoyan and the rest retreated. They could feel the pressure from the water ball. Once it exploded, its power could not be underestimated. Han Fei cast the water control technique on himself. The purpose of this water ball was to prevent the high concentration of salt water from approaching him. Han Fei jumped into the White Mist Salt Marsh. At the same time, he took out the long saber in his hand. However, it was dangerous. If he used the drawing technique with all his might, there might be room for maneuver. As soon as Han Fei entered, the faces of the people outside became weird. "Chen Yuan, Wang Yi, I don't think this kid is trustworthy. He was young but had many tricks up his sleeve. He was definitely a genius from some town. We're just running ghost ships. Do you really think we can follow him? Wang Yi frowned. Whether he can or not, at least he is right about one thing. He's new here, and he has a lot of questions. He didn't know many things about the level 3 fishery. Why don't we observe them for a few more days? If we don't think they can do it, we'll stop following them when we get on the dragon boat. Zhao Haitao frowned. It's easy for him to kill us. Don't forget, the 4 of us once besieged him, but he easily escaped. There's no reason for him to kill us all of a sudden. In the process of diving, Han Fei was perceiving. Unfortunately, he didn't feel anything within 250 meters, only endless white mist. Instead, there were some white silk threads in the white mist, which seemed to be trying to drill into the water ball where Han Fei was, like thin white worms. If it was really a kind of worm, Han Fei would be disgusted. Fortunately, this was just a kind of smoke similar to silk. Han Fei controlled the seawater in the water ball, trying to push these silk threads out. However, often only a little bit was pushed out, and the silk threads gradually drilled in again. Han Fei was speechless. No wonder they said that spiritual weapons were not enough. This thing really consumed a lot of spiritual energy. He had to control the water ball with spiritual energy all the time to prevent the white mist from penetrating in. After diving about 500 meters, Han Fei found that the pressure from the surroundings began to increase, and the originally spherical water ball had been compressed into an oval shape. Suddenly, Han Fei perceived that in the white mist, there seemed to be some kind of white unknown object flashing by. Just when he wanted to chase it, he found that the white figure had disappeared. Humph, playing tricks on me. Han Fei looked calm. If that thing didn't come, he would make sure it didn't come back. Han Fei continued to dive, but after only 300 meters, he found that he could see the bottom, and there was hard white under his feet. Han Fei threw out a blue sea wandering dragon dagger, slashed the ground a few times, and found that there was actually solidified salt under his feet. Unfortunately, because the seawater here was too turbid, Han Fei could only vaguely see the nearby ground, and he didn't know if there would be any monsters under the salt layer. So he immediately rose about 30 meters, so as not to be like when he first came to the level 3 fishery. In the level 3 fishery, he was almost dragged into a pit by a mess-swallowing worm. Since he couldn't continue to dive, he could only move forward and backward. Han Fei released Little Black and Little White and let them stay in the water ball. He didn't put the 2 little guys in the white mist salt marsh. After all, the environment here had nothing to do with strength, but the salinity in the body. Little White, can you perceive where the spiritual energy is the most abundant? Little White swayed a little and jumped left and right. After hesitating for a long time, he looked to the right of Han Fei uncertainly. Han Fei immediately grinned. Good boy, I'll go get treasures for you. Retrieving Little Black and Little White, Han Fei went straight to the right. Han Fei felt that if there was a place where Little White was uncertain, there should at least be something in that place, and Han Fei completely trusted his little cotton-padded jacket's intuition. Han Fei moved forward quickly. Suddenly, 100 meters away from him, the white figure flashed by again. Han Fei immediately shot out a dagger. The blue sea wandering dragon daggers were extremely fast after being attached to a soul, and the surrounding white mist was slashed open by the dagger. However, before the blue sea wandering dragon daggers approached, the white figure disappeared again, as if it had never appeared. Han Fei narrowed his eyes slightly, and he felt a trace of threat. But then, Han Fei suddenly thought of something. How did Yang Ruoyan come here? It stood to reason that since she couldn't beat Wang Yi and the others, she shouldn't be much stronger than them. But the 4 of them didn't feel the threat in the white mist. But only Yang Ruoyan felt it? Even Han Fei himself didn't feel that there was something in the white mist until he almost reached the bottom of the salt marsh. If it weren't for the fact that his perception range was as high as 250 meters, he wouldn't even be able to feel anything with his eyes. Wow, there's something wrong with that Yang Ruoyan. Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. There was definitely something wrong with this woman. He was almost deceived by her. If he went out and this woman hadn't left, he would definitely ask her. At this moment, Han Fei had already felt the existence of danger. He was being watched. Swish, suddenly, Han Fei moved sideways, and the blue sea wandering dragon daggers in his hand cut through the white mist like lightning. Unfortunately, he was still a step too late. Han Fei could see the white mist trembling, and something did flash past him just now. In Han Fei's spiritual perception, it was still a humanoid creature, and it seemed to be a good knife user. Han Fei glanced at the torn water ball. Because it was torn by a knife just now, a lot of white mist poured in. Han Fei shook his body with spiritual energy and forced the white mist out of the water ball again. But at the same time, the figure came again. "Humph! I'm waiting for you. Stop pretending to be mysterious." Swish! 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 Dozens of blue sea wandering dragon daggers shot out in an instant. Han Fei was confident that in this misty place, no matter how fast the figure was, it would be impossible for it to avoid the blue sea wandering dragon daggers in a close-range state. However, an unexpected scene appeared. In Han Fei's perception, this figure was actually flashing left and right in the white mist. Immediately, a huge wave of spiritual energy penetrated from the white mist. At that moment, Han Fei seemed to have hit a turtle, and the water ball shield was directly shattered. And Han Fei was directly sent flying hundreds of meters away. Pop! With a loud noise, Han Fei felt as if he had smashed through something, and the environment in front of him suddenly changed. The salt marsh, which was originally hazy with white mist, suddenly became extremely pure. Yes, it was pure, 2F** king pure. As far as his eyes could see, there was not a trace of obstruction. Beneath his feet was a hard salt mirror that was as smooth as a mirror. Hiss, is this really a salt marsh? Han Fei was a little dumbfounded. It's really beautiful. This was a breathtakingly beautiful place. Yes, Han Fei was blasted out of the mist and directly crashed into this beautiful place. Here, Han Fei thought of the mirror of the sky in the uni-salt marsh. The mirror-like salt marsh was boundless. And the white mist above his head, because of the blue-green plants growing on the salt marsh not far away, caused the white mist to have colors, very much like the colorful sky. If he had to describe it, it would be the integration of water and sky, absolutely ethereal, fantastic, and fresh. If Han Fei had to do something in this place, the first thing he would think of was to see if there was any way to take a picture of the scene in front of him. Then, he could show off to Xia Shaochan and the others. While Han Fei was still marveling at the beauty of this place, a figure emerged from the white mist. Seeing this person, Han Fei was dumbfounded and his eyes almost popped out. WTF. Chapter 3:11. If the beauty under the white mist was breathtaking, then the person in front of him made Han Fei feel uncomfortable. That person was none other than himself. Suddenly, Han Fei realized something and hurriedly looked down, only to be horrified. He didn't notice it just now. Since the salt layer under his feet was like a mirror, why didn't it reflect him? At this moment, Han Fei looked down, only to find that there was only a black shadow under his feet, and his reflection that should have appeared in the mirror was gone. Han Fei suddenly raised his head, his eyelids twitching. "Who the hell are you? What did you do to my shadow?" However, the other him didn't say a word. He was like a puppet staring at him. Han Fei swallowed. Who could accept this? He couldn't be reflected in the mirror, but his reflection that should have appeared in the mirror suddenly ran to the opposite side and became a person. Moreover, he had just punched him. Han Fei narrowed his eyes slightly and tried to calm himself down. The first thing he felt was that there was something wrong with the salt concentration of this water. It should have been mixed with the brine above, but it wasn't. The water here was very pure. It was not salt water but fresh water. Han Fei secretly pinched the water-dividing seal and hid it in his palm. He had already seen the weirdness here. It was very unusual. Han Fei continued, Do you know how to talk? As my shadow, you can only be a shadow for the rest of your life. When can a shadow rebel against its master? Han Fei waved his hand and the blue sea wandering dragon daggers shot out instantly. However, to his shock, although the shadow on the opposite side didn't have the blue sea wandering dragon daggers, he grabbed dozens of knives similar to the blue sea wandering dragon daggers out of thin air and shot them at him. F***ck clank 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 crack crack crack. In the next second Han Fei smiled. Haha, don't be so pretentious. This young master's weapon is a genuine middle-grade spirit weapon. What the hell is that? I wonder what kind of synthetic knife can compare with my blue sea wandering dragon daggers? At this moment, the fake knives summoned by the shadow were all broken. Han Fei stretched out his hand and raised his eyebrows. It turned out to be salt? Han Fei frowned. Using salt as a weapon, the only person left in the world was his own shadow. But the shadow was also him. At this moment, Han Fei really wanted to praise himself. The blue sea wandering dragon daggers continued to attack the shadow. At this time, Han Fei was no longer so frightened. I can't even create a real saber. How can my shadow be stronger than my real body? The shadow was moving, and it was using the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies. No wonder he couldn't hit him just now. So, he was using a knife to cut himself, so it was normal that he couldn't cut himself. The blue sea wandering dragon daggers were very strong and had the power of frost. But after all, the opponent was his own shadow, so he was always able to dodge by a hair's breadth. Even though dozens of blue sea wandering dragon daggers were launched at the same time, they couldn't do anything to it. Han Fei's lips curled. You can dodge 10 knives, but what about 30? Han Fei waved his hand, and 20 blue sea wandering dragon daggers floated out of his body and darted out again. This time, the shadow on the other side didn't feel so good. He had 30 sabers, and he had the support of the million knife art and the broadsword commanding skill. Han Fei believed that even his real body might not be able to resist them, let alone a shadow. Sure enough, under the siege of 30 sabers, the shadow couldn't be solved by footwork. It wasn't that footwork was useless, but there were always times when you couldn't notice it. However, then Han Fei's eyes widened again, only to see that the shadow also had a super strong physique, and a layer of salt crystals appeared on the shadow's body. F***ck. What the hell is this? Clank, clank, clank. Han Fei only saw that a large number of salt crystals were smashed, and the shadow took advantage of the moment when the salt crystals were broken to avoid the blue sea wandering dragon daggers that should have pierced into his body. Han Fei narrowed his eyes. That's not bad. I can learn from it in the future. However, even if I can block an attack, can I block it like this all the time? Soon, when the first knife pierced into the shadow's body, Han Fei rushed up. Taking advantage of the moment of stagnation, the small seal in Han Fei's hand suddenly smashed out. Bam! The beautiful mirror of the sky was destroyed, and a big pit appeared. The shadow was smashed into pieces by a blow, and then the blue sea wandering dragon daggers stabbed at it crazily. Looking at the shadow that was pierced all over, Han Fei felt a little sorry for it. After all, it seemed to be him. But on second thought, he didn't care about the fake one at all. Han Fei immediately made up his mind, picked up the water-dividing seal, and smashed it hard. Even Han Fei himself couldn't withstand the crazy cutting of dozens of blue sea wandering dragon daggers and the continuous impact of the water-dividing seal, let alone a shadow. Soon, the shadow was smashed to death by himself. In the end, Han Fei found that this thing had no blood or flesh, just a pool of salt. What the hell is this? Can salt become a spirit? Han Fei put away the blue sea wandering dragon daggers and the water-dividing seal, and twisted his neck. Heh, you want to fight me with a salt body? Are you crazy? Laughably, in less than 3 seconds, Han Fei was blasted away and rolled several times on the ground. When he got up to take a look, he saw a brand new shadow that was completely unblemished. Han Fei felt that there were 10,000 iron-head fish galloping in his heart. This was King cheating. How come another one popped up after he had defeated one? This time, Han Fei was even more ferocious. With the blue sea wandering dragon daggers and the water-dividing seal in his hand, he was ready to take down the shadow. But in the blink of an eye, this shadow also held a water-dividing seal. CK. Are you addicted to fakes? How can a fake made of salt compare to my superior-grade spirit weapon? Han Fei immediately shouted. The two big seal phantoms collided and directly shattered the fake seal of the shadow. However, this time Han Fei found something different. This shadow had become stronger. If the shadow just now only had less than 50% of his strength, then this one had nearly 60% of his strength. After half an hour, Han Fei cut the shadow into two pieces with a single knife and killed this shadow. Han Fei was speechless. Am I so strong? Why did it take me so long to kill myself with 60% of my strength? However, before Han Fei could think more, he felt the sound of something breaking through the air behind him. CK. Han Fei felt his blood freeze. Again? Han Fei jumped and dodged. When he looked back, he found that a new shadow had appeared. Han Fei was speechless. Damn, are they endless? How long will this fight last? If it were an ordinary person, two shadows would definitely consume all his spiritual energy. Even Han Fei himself had consumed 2/3 of his spiritual energy, not counting the spiritual energy that he had stored. But in the blink of an eye, another shadow popped up. If he didn't have any reserves of spiritual energy, how many more could he resist? This time, Han Fei tried to have a head-on melee with the enemy. But the shadow didn't want to fight head-on. The shadow controlled the fake knife and the fake seal and rushed at Han Fei. Han Fei cursed secretly, turned around, and ran. How can I fight? If I kill one, another will pop up. I'm not going to fight you. Instead of running to the exit above the clouds, Han Fei ran towards the plants. Han Fei thought that the plants that could grow in this kind of place must be extraordinary. He didn't want to fight for the time being. He would take away all the spiritual plants here first. The speed of the shadow was not as fast as Han Fei. Therefore, once the gap was drawn, Han Fei found that the shadow seemed to be just SOSO. If you really want to fight, you'll have to wait until all the things are fished out. After a while, Han Fei picked up a small emerald fruit tree with a spiritual fruit hanging on it. Without hesitation, Han Fei uprooted it and threw it into Forge the Universe. After a while, Han Fei found another cluster of blue melon vines, which were full of arm-long melons. He uprooted it and took it away. After a while, Han Fei saw a strange red grass, uprooted it, and continued to take it away. After running for about half an hour, Han Fei suddenly found that the mirror of the sky had reached its end. I almost thought that you were limitless. So, there's an end to this too. At this moment, Han Fei looked back and found that the shadow was still a kilometer away from him. He couldn't help but crook his finger at the shadow. You come here. Chapter 312. Han Fei chuckled. There were a lot of spiritual herbs here. Although he didn't take a closer look just now, the spiritual fruits he plundered didn't seem to be ordinary. At this moment, Han Fei crooked his finger contemptuously at the shadow and started to run again. Half an hour later, Han Fei had run through most of the sky realm. Han Fei had dug no less than 30 spiritual plants and spiritual fruit. When he returned to a hole that he had dug before, he realized that he had already dug it all out. Looking back, he found that the shadow was still chasing him. Han Fei couldn't help but be stunned. How did this guy come here? What kind of power gave it the ability to come back from the dead and imitate others? Han Fei stopped and was ready to kill this shadow. In any case, since it was his own shadow, all its moves and strength should be lower than his. No matter how hard you imitated it, you could only be as strong as me, let alone surpass me. Thinking of this, Han Fei felt that this was a good opportunity to challenge himself. After all, it was the first time that he had encountered a fight with himself. In the past, it was Han Fei who beat others. Maybe Han Fei really couldn't understand other people's inner feelings. This time, he finally got a chance to fight with himself. It was time to taste how strong he was, Han Fei said to the shadow via voice transmission, no matter whether you can understand me or not, and no matter what you are. I bullied you just now. Now I don't need any weapons. Let's see how strong I am. In an instant, the blue sea wandering dragon daggers and the water dividing seal entered his body, and Han Fei even removed the spiritual energy protective cover on his body. The shadow on the opposite side didn't seem to understand what Han Fei said and continued to attack him. The fake knives cut through the clean water like sharp arrows piercing through the water. Han Fei grinned and immediately went up to meet it. Relying on the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies and the water control technique, he made a series of complex but not fancy dodging movements. In front of him, the fake knives brushed past his cheek, and for the first time in his life, Han Fei raised his fist against a strong opponent like himself. BM, 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 clank, clank. It was a fierce battle, and Han Fei almost exerted all his strength. After about half an hour, Han Fei finally killed the shadow opposite him, which only had 70% of his strength. He didn't have this feeling before. However, when another version of himself stood in front of him and fought with him, he finally understood how strong he was. Almost all of his abilities that he had used would be reproduced on the shadow. In fact, the shadow's proficiency and agility were even better than his own. As expected, the shadow with 80% of its power appeared again. It was another fierce battle. This time, it took Han Fei more than half an hour and 5,000 points of spiritual energy to kill the shadow. Han Fei thought to himself, there seems to be a lot of room for improvement in my own combat skills and combat consumption. When Jiuwen, his real self, appeared, Han Fei found that the battle became more and more difficult, so he had to brandish a mid-quality magic knife and fight the shadow. Just like that, Han Fei was beaten up by Han Fei again and again, and sometimes he couldn't even fight back. The battle lasted for 2 hours. But this time, Han Fei strictly controlled the use of his spiritual energy. After all, if he hadn't used the reserve of spiritual energy, he would have been defeated by the 80% shadow. At this moment, Han Fei relied on his strong physique and his own legs. But he had no other choice. If it weren't for his physique, Han Fei would have been defeated long ago. Now, he was constantly honing his combat ability with the help of the shadow. 3 hours later, Han Fei was hit countless times and finally managed to fight Jiu to a draw. Cheng's powerful shadow fought to a draw. 6 hours later, Han Fei was able to break through the shadow's combat defense and speed. To put it bluntly, the shadow opposite him was actually himself. Theoretically, Jiu's strength was much weaker than his own, so it was natural for him to defeat the opponent. 1 day later, Jiu's shadow turned into a pile of salt crystals. Han Fei grabbed a lot of air from Forge the Universe, took a good breath, and then stood quietly on the mirror of the sky, waiting for the peak strength of the shadow to appear. But this time, the whole mirror of the sky began to tremble slowly, and a figure gradually bulged on the mirror not far away, and some salt crystals gradually changed into his appearance. Han Fei narrowed his eyes. Oh, is it difficult to simulate me in my peak state? The corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up slightly. The shadow had come out, but the secret of this place hadn't been revealed yet. Previously, Han Fei had suspected that when he made a shadow as powerful as himself in his peak state, the secret of this place would be exposed. However, this was not the case. The shadow was still the shadow, the mirror of the sky was still the mirror of the sky, and the ground was still full of those big pits that he had smashed. There was still white mist above his head. However, after the spiritual grass was destroyed by him, there was no green color, just pure white mist. Han Fei glanced at the white mist thoughtfully. If the secret was not in the mirror of the sky, was it above the white mist? Suddenly, Han Fei made a strange move. He summoned the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. And it was not the kind of possession, but directly summoned out. As soon as the nine-tailed mantis shrimp came out, it was stunned. Two masters? Fortunately, it was quite clever. With just a slight sense, it knew that its master was fake and had no connection with it at all. Han Fei looked at the shadow opposite him. I have a contractual spiritual beast. Do you have one? The mirror of the sky lived up to his expectations. The salt crystals bulged again, and a fake nine-tailed mantis shrimp emerged. Han Fei grinned. Interesting. It seemed that not only the human body, but any living creature could be duplicated here. In the blink of an eye, he took back the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. If he was right, the mirror of the sky was just a set of dead mechanisms, and it could only simulate the shape. As for its abilities, it was probably less than half of the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. Swoosh, 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 Han Fei went all out. Facing Zhu even when Cheng's strength was at the shadow level, it had been extremely difficult for him to fight. Now, facing the shadow in its heyday, Han Fei didn't dare to be careless. Of course, Han Fei didn't take it seriously. No matter how strong he was, it was still a copy of himself. After all, he had not surpassed himself. He was now very curious. If he killed the shadow in front of him at its peak, would a stronger shadow appear? As soon as Han Fei made a move, the shadow on the opposite side also moved. The two figures were quickly entangled, and the fake nine-tailed mantis shrimp didn't know where to start. Han Fei smiled. Sure enough, you don't even know how to use the nine-star chain. Han Fei took the opportunity to slash at the fake nine-tailed mantis shrimp. The latter could also dodge, but he could only use some basic combat abilities and instinctively attack. Hey, I'll destroy you first. Han Fei covered his body with a spiritual energy protective cover and avoided the shadow's blow. The million-knife art swept wildly and directly took away the fake nine-tailed mantis shrimp. The next battle was more cruel. Han Fei controlled the blue sea wandering dragon daggers to fight with the shadow, and both of them fought with the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies. In the end, Han Fei used the saber commanding technique, and they were locked in a stalemate. As for the draw technique, Han Fei didn't plan to use it. How could he be willing to destroy such a good sparring partner with one blow? What better sparring partner was there than himself? This battle lasted for a day and a night. This was the longest and most exhausting battle Han Fei had ever experienced, but it was also the battle that made Han Fei grow the fastest. He was bombarded countless times, used the divine healing technique hundreds of times, and consumed nearly 100,000 points of spiritual energy. When Han Fei felt that his combat skills had been honed to the extreme, a long knife appeared. Swish, as soon as the knife was pulled out, a huge crack was cut on the salt crystal ground. Because everything happened so fast, the shadow was directly cut before it could react. When the shadow turned into salt crystals again. Just when Han Fei thought the truth was about to be revealed, the salt crystals bulged again and the shadow appeared again. F***ck, Han Fei was speechless. He was a little angry. You don't play by the rules. How can you still come here? After a while, Han Fei found that the strength of the shadow didn't improve. At this time, Han Fei secretly breathed a sigh of relief. That's right. If it can still become stronger, does it mean that this mirror of the sky has a consciousness beyond that of human beings? If this is the masterpiece of a powerful figure, how powerful must it be? Will it appear in the level 3 fishery? Or the level 3 fishery? Was it possible that he was unknown? Han Fei had been thinking, but he didn't plan to continue fighting. Since the shadow kept appearing, there must be a reason. What was the reason? In this mirror of the sky, Han Fei fought from the beginning to the end. Almost every inch of land had been explored by him, and even the spiritual plants had been dug away by him. There were no secrets here. Then, there seemed to be only one real reason left. Han Fei stepped on the ground, condensed a high-pressure ball with the water control technique again, and attached to the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. bm, Han Fei broke through the white mist, smashed the salt layer, and then he was in the white mist again. With a flash between his eyebrows, Little Black and Little White also appeared. Han Fei asked, "Little White, can you feel anything different?" Chapter 3:13. Behind him, the shadow was still chasing him, but Han Fei didn't fight at all. As he shuttled quickly, Little White suddenly moved and looked to Han Fei's left. Little Gold, attach. Han Fei's speed soared again, and without a contractual spiritual beast attached, the shadow couldn't catch up with him at all. After a while, Han Fei perceived that a hexagonal stone was floating 100 meters away. In his eyes, data appeared. Mirror of icy salt, a divine weapon condensed by heaven and earth, condensed from the essence of 1,000-year-old ice salt. It can copy any creature below the level of hidden fissure. Low-quality divine weapon, current state, 3 times note. After leaving the white mist salt marsh, the mirror of icy salt will become an expendable divine weapon. Please use it cautiously. Low-quality divine weapon? Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. He grabbed the mirror of icy salt and refined it with his blood. Just as he refined the mirror of icy salt, the shadow behind him suddenly shattered into salt crystals and scattered directly into the white mist. Just after Han Fei put away the mirror of icy salt, a large amount of white mist gradually sank and poured into the flawless seabed of the mirror of the sky. Han Fei swallowed. An expendable divine weapon? There are only 3 chances to use it? This was definitely a priceless treasure, a priceless treasure. Unlike Luo Xiaobai's death substitute, this mirror of icy salt could copy him in his peak state. And this also meant that he would get 3 chances to create a second clone. It was amazing. There was actually such a strange thing in this world. Fortunately, no one had taken this thing away. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been his turn. To be precise, all the people who came in had fallen into a misunderstanding. They might have been to the mirror of the sky, but the shadow clones one after another were absolutely mind-blowing. Imagine, if it weren't for the water control technique, if it weren't for the fact that he could enter this white mist salt marsh, if it weren't for the fact that he had spiritual energy reserves and could fight indefinitely, if it weren't for the fact that he fought to the end, Han Fei really didn't think that the real treasure was in this white mist. Even in the white mist, if it weren't for little Xiaobai and his spiritual perception of 250 meters, Han Fei might still not have been able to get this low-quality divine weapon. There were too many coincidences, and Han Fei just got this opportunity. It could be said that Han Fei made a fortune this time. If there had been a hidden fissure here, he would have been able to get the mirror of icy salt without fighting. As the white mist poured into the mirror of the sky, the field of vision of the white mist salt marsh became a little wider, and the way out was no longer difficult to find. It had been almost 2 days since Han Fei entered this place. He wondered if his new subordinates were still around. As for Yang Ruoyun, Han Fei always felt that there was something wrong with this woman. To put it simply, she was a hunter. How could she come in? The threat she mentioned, was it the shadow? But in this foggy environment, the vision was blocked, and the perception of ordinary dangling fissures was not strong. How could she perceive it? How could he escape? Han Fei himself was knocked into the mirror of the sky. In the outside world, as soon as Han Fei jumped out of the white mist salt marsh, he found that there was no one around. He was speechless. Sure enough, they all ran away. None of them were left. Something's not right. Suddenly, Han Fei's body landed on a white coral reef not far away, and his face suddenly became extremely gloomy. Wang Yi, Chen Yuan, Lu Han, and Zhao Haitao were all lying here at the moment. They were all dead, and their bodies were lined up in a row. Beside them, there was a piece of fish skin. Han Fei picked up the fish skin and saw that it read, "Whether you can come out alive or not, I'll remember you. Do you really think there was only one wind sword in that secret realm? If I hadn't been seriously injured that day, how could I have been manipulated by you? But forget it, everyone has their own destiny. However, since these 4 people run the ghost ship, their life and death are not in their control. The people who run the ghost ship are not allowed in the level 3 fishery. I hope I don't meet you on the ghost ship one day, otherwise. Han Fei was speechless. Was I tricked again? Yes, Han Fei was very sure that he had been tricked again. First, he was tricked by Chen Yuan, and then by Yang Ruoyun. After a while, Han Fei recalled again. When he met Yang Ruoyun in that secret realm, this girl was indeed seriously injured. At that time, he just thought that she was injured by his drawing technique. But now he thought it was wrong. If it was the drawing technique that hurt her, she shouldn't have just vomited blood. There should at least be knife wounds on her body, right? But on that day, her clothes were not even torn. Secondly, was it really just a coincidence that Yang Ruoyun met him when she was chased by Wang Yi and the other 3? Not really. What if Yang Ruoyun took the initiative to lure Wang Yi and the other 3 to kill him? If that was the case, wasn't he foolishly taken advantage of by others? And he even thought he was smart enough to recruit 4 subordinates? Now, as the boss, in the blink of an eye, he became a commander without an army. In fact, when he first encountered the ghost ship, Han Fei didn't feel very angry. Except for being tricked by Chen Yuan, which made him a little annoyed, Han Fei felt that running the ghost ship was a normal thing. There were bandits in the mountains, pirates in the sea, and robbers everywhere. Of course, if it was the kind of people who killed innocent people, it would be a different story. Now, Han Fei felt it was quite a pity. For subordinates, they even knew a secret realm. However, before they went to the secret realm, they all died. On the sea, Han Fei sat alone on the fishing boat. However, it didn't take long for him to encounter a large group of humming fish again. After a while, the bow was full of humming sounds. Han Fei's face turned black. So, every time I get a treasure, I have to be unlucky several times in a row? Controlling the fishing boat to fly, Han Fei randomly chose a direction and flew out for thousands of kilometers. He still didn't meet anyone, so Han Fei landed casually on the sea and let the boat drift. Since he had nothing to do, Han Fei took out a big pot, reached out to grab a mass of water, threw it into the pot, and poured all kinds of seasonings into it. Han Fei patted the bottom of the pot with one hand and waved the fishing rod with the other, starting to fish. After a moment, Han Fei fished several times with the water vane method, and caught an anti-heaven blade. The anti-heaven blade he caught was different from the one he saw in the water. After getting on the boat, Han Fei found that there were really a lot of hard thorns on this fish. After cutting off the thorns and peeling the bones, the fish meat was crystal red and tender, a bit like tuna meat. Because there was no fire, Han Fei could only use spiritual energy to heat it up. Although spiritual energy could also heat up, it was different from flames. It didn't have the smoke of a flame. Of course, on this vast sea, Han Fei didn't care so much about it. It's enough. It's better to have something to eat than nothing. An hour later, half of the pot of fish was eaten. Behind Han Fei, the 9-star chain of the 9-tailed mantis shrimp kept attacking. Yes, as expected, the level 3 fishery was different from other places. The level 3 fishery was different from other places. When the boat drifted on the sea, the creatures in the sea would naturally attack it. At first, it was just crescent moon fish, then red-browed prawns, and occasionally some big snails and squid clung to the hull, which was very annoying. On the 3rd day, Han Fei met someone. 3 people on the same fishing boat passed by Han Fei. Han Fei wanted to go up and say hello. After all, it was not easy to meet someone in such a large fishery. But before Han Fei went over, they ran away and didn't seem to want to talk to him. On the 4th day, he met someone again. However, when that person saw Han Fei eating alone on the fishing boat, he also ran away. Han Fei didn't know why. Why did these people run away when they saw him? Do I look so scary? On the 6th day, Han Fei met a ghost ship again. It had to be said that the frequency of ghost ships appearing was much higher than that of dragon ships. However, this time was different from the last time. Han Fei took the initiative to attack. The other party was an all-professional ghost ship team. The battle was in a stalemate at the beginning. Han Fei fought 5 of them alone, which really shocked these people. Han Fei failed to take them down, and the battle ended hastily. Everyone continued to go their own way. It was not that Han Fei didn't want to kill these people, but the other party was an all-professional team and all of them were dangling fishers, so it was very difficult to fight them. If Han Fei didn't expose more trump cards, he really couldn't kill the other party. On the 8th day, Han Fei was practicing fishing out of boredom, wondering how to trick the black moon sicklefish into taking the bait. Then, from a distance, he saw a huge black shadow floating over from the sea. F***ck. A dragon boat. Chapter 3:14. When Han Fei saw the dragon boat for the first time, he was shocked. The visual impact in front of him was too shocking. The huge hull was like an ancient behemoth in the ocean. Although it was still far away, Han Fei could see the huge bow of the ship, which was like a huge dragon head, as high as the clouds. The hull of the ship was several hundred meters tall, towering like a huge wave on the surface of the sea. In front of the dragon boat, the seawater was separated, and countless crescent moon fish swam with the boat, jumping up from time to time, rolling in arcs on the sea. From a distance, Han Fei heard the sound of humming all over the sky, as if a large number of humming fish were surrounding the dragon boat. Han Fei even saw a one-horned shark jumping out of the water. When he got closer, Han Fei saw it more clearly. Not only the one-horned shark, but also a large number of butterfly fish jumped out of the water from time to time and flew in the air for a certain distance. Beep, the sound of a huge ship sounded, and the sound spread out in all directions, resounding through the world. After a while, the dragon boat approached. Around the dragon boat, fishing boats occasionally left and flew towards the boundless Wang Ocean. Yanghai. In the distance, there were also a few sporadic black spots, which were the nearby people who learned that the dragon boat was passing by and came to board. Han Fei also controlled the fishing boat to take off and went straight to the dragon boat. This scene was too shocking, and it was quite a novelty to him. Before, Han Fei had always heard about the dragon boat. Now that he saw it, how could he not go up and have a look? As the fishing boat approached, Han Fei felt the majesty of this huge dragon boat. There was a dragon head on the bow of the boat, and the hull was made of bluestone and wood. Pieces of dragon scale carvings gave the dragon boat a strange color. However, those dragon scales didn't seem to be for decoration. Looking carefully, there seemed to be a small spirit gathering array engraved on each dragon scale. Then how many spirit gathering arrays were engraved on the hull with countless dragon scales? And at the stern, Han Fei couldn't see the stern at all. The distance from the bow to the stern was too far, spanning more than 30 kilometers. The dragon boat was divided into 5 floors. The higher the floor, the smaller the buildings. On the first deck, there were people standing around. These people didn't do anything else. They were all standing there fishing. In the blink of an eye, Han Fei saw no less than 100 people retracting their fishing poles. On their hooks, some were hummingfish, some crescent moonfish, some spike turtles, and some anti-heaven blade. He even saw someone catch the black moon sicklefish. When the fishing boat was still a few kilometers away, Han Fei heard the hubbub of people on the dragon boat. Around the dragon boat, Han Fei also saw armored guards. They stood in every corner of the dragon boat with long spears in their hands. Han Fei had never boarded a dragon boat and didn't know where to get on. However, fortunately, someone else was going to board the boat, so he ran to the middle of the boat with someone else. After flying for only 3 or 5 kilometers, Han Fei found out. It turned out that there were special landing points on both sides of the ship. There was a special person in charge of receiving guests, and a row of guards was standing guard here. Han Fei immediately moved the boat closer, and then someone shouted, "Do you want to store the boat?" With a thought, the fishing boat under his feet was taken in to forge the universe, and he jumped onto the deck from the sky. Han Fei smiled slightly. I can store it myself. The person in charge of reception was a junior dangling fisher. He nodded slightly and said to Han Fei, "Which floor do you want to live on?" Han Fei was slightly taken aback. "Is there any difference in living on different floors?" Are you new to the level 3 fishery?" This new to the level 3 fishery attracted a lot of people not far away to gather around. Someone shouted, "Little friend, come quickly. I am known as the Dragon Boat Know-It-All. I can explain everything about the Dragon Boat to you. I only charge 500 mid-quality pearls." Someone waved to Han Fei. "Brother, you and I are the same age. I will be your guide. I only charge 400 mid-quality pearls." Someone shouted, "Little brother, do you have any valuable treasures on you? I am willing to buy them at a high price." "Little brother," Han Fei was dumbfounded. "What? Is there a pimp business here?" The person in charge of the clearance said with a smile, "You'd better find a guide when you first board the dragon boat. This dragon boat is not big, but it is definitely not small. There are all kinds of industries on the boat. If you explore by yourself, I am afraid it will take a lot of time." Han Fei nodded. "How much do I need to pay for boarding?" The man said, "If you only board the boat without living, 100 mid-quality pearls will do. If you need a separate room, then the first floor will cost 300 mid-quality pearls, the second floor 500 mid-quality pearls, the third floor 1,000 mid-quality pearls, the fourth floor 5,000 mid-quality pearls, and the fifth floor 10,000 mid-quality pearls. It's up to you to choose." Han Fei was taken aback. Sure enough, he had underestimated the business on the dragon boat. "Isn't this 2F** king expensive? It only costs 100 mid-quality pearls to board the boat, but at least 300 mid-quality pearls to live," the man smiled. "If you think it's too expensive, there are 3 floors of cabins 30 meters below the deck. The cabin room on the first floor costs 100 mid-quality pearls a day. The cabin on the second floor is not a single room but a shared room for 4 people. It's only 50 mid-quality pearls. As for the third floor, it's free, but it's a mixed bag. It's up to you to choose." Han Fei narrowed his eyes slightly. A dragon boat actually had 8 floors. However, he looked down at the sea hundreds of meters away from the deck, and couldn't help but feel relieved. Not to mention 8 floors, this height was more than enough to build a 100-story building, which was definitely comparable to the skyscrapers of his previous life. However, Han Fei realized that he had a lot of secrets, so he couldn't stay in a place with too many people. The lower 3 floors of the ship were directly excluded. This first floor was the deck floor, where there were the most pedestrians and people fishing by the boat everywhere. The deck had almost become a market, bustling with people coming and going, which was not very suitable. On the other hand, the number of people on the second floor suddenly decreased a lot. Maybe people were not willing to spend so much money to live up there. Han Fei immediately smiled. "A single room on the second floor. I'll book it for 10 days. The man in front of him looked calm, as if he didn't care about Han Fei's 5,000 mid-quality pearls at all. He must be used to seeing rich people. "Okay, wait a moment." The man took out a small stone-engraved token from the desk beside him and handed it over. "I wish you a good time. By the way, the guide is only responsible for explaining the first floor and the next 3 floors. If you need them to explain the upper floors for you, you should choose a smart guide. Besides, if the guide is not a guest from the second floor or above, it will cost some mid-quality pearls to climb to the upper floors." Han Fei nodded slightly. This was reasonable. After all, on this dragon boat, the floors were so clearly divided that no one could go up. Otherwise, it would be a mess. Han Fei took the token. At the same time, with a wave of his hand, 5,000 mid-quality pearls were stuffed into the box next to him. This scene caused the pimps to suck in a breath of cold air. With so many mid-quality pearls, this boy was not going to live on the first floor immediately. The shouts became louder again. Han Fei walked straight to the deck and was immediately surrounded by dozens of people. Behind him, the guards scolded, "Don't crowd." And those people seemed to have been used to these scoldings and refused to give way at this moment. Someone held a fish skin map in his hand and said, "Little brother, I have a plan of the dragon boat here. It only costs 100 mid-quality pearls." Someone also held a fish skin map in his hand and said, "Brother, I have the route map of the dragon boat. It's not easy to get it. It only costs 300 mid-quality pearls." Someone called out, "Bro, that's nothing. I have the distribution map of the dangerous places in the level 3 fishery. It only costs 500 mid-quality pearls." "Yes, you heard me right. It's 500 mid-quality pearls." Someone said, "Dude, don't listen to their bullsh *t. I'll show you around the dragon boat. It only costs 400 mid-quality pearls." There were so many people and Han Fei was a little confused. Just now, the uncle suggested that he should choose a better guide, but why didn't anyone look like a good person? All of them looked as if they were going to eat him. They all wanted his money. Couldn't these people make money? Suddenly, Han Fei saw a little girl the same age as him in this small group of people. At this moment, she was pursing her lips and looking at Han Fei. The little girl didn't speak but just looked at Han Fei, with one hand open and the words, 500 mid-quality pearls, written on it. Han Fei couldn't help but be curious. Others have already bid 400 mid-quality pearls, but you insist on 500 mid-quality pearls? This little girl looked thin and was only an advanced great fishing master. It could be said that she was the weakest of this group. After all, everyone here was at least a peak-level great fishing master. Without hesitation, Han Fei immediately pointed to the little girl and said, "Her." Chapter 3:15. The group of people in front of him suddenly stopped talking and quickly looked back, only to find that Han Fei only chose a little girl who was an advanced great fishing master. The little girl was also taken aback. Most of the time, her income was very small. It was just that. Occasionally, when more people boarded the dragon boat, it would be her turn. However, Han Fei chose her in the crowd, which surprised her very much. Someone said helplessly, "Little brother, you have to find a guide. Not everyone can be a guide." Han Fei glanced at the man. "Not everyone likes to find an uncle as a guide. I like Lola's." Everyone. The little girl. The group of people was speechless. This was the first fiasco in her life, and she was defeated because she was not a Lolita? For Han Fei, 500 mid-quality pearls were nothing at all. This time, when he set off to the level 3 fishery in the level 3 fishery, he had brought a total of 200,000 mid-quality pearls. Even if he spent all the money, he could go to the sea to fish out some treasures, which were worth a lot of money. He wouldn't worry about hundreds or thousands of mid-quality pearls anyway. Half of the crowd dispersed at once, and someone held a fish skin map and shouted, "Little brother, you have a guide, but do you want a plan of the dragon boat?" Han Fei looked at the little girl, and the latter said to him via voice transmission, "No." Han Fei said impatiently, "No, no, I have a very good sense of direction. Why do I need a plan? What about the route map?" This time, the little girl took the initiative to say, "It's fake." Han Fei snorted. Go away, go away. I don't want anything. I don't care where I go." After sending these pimps away, Han Fei looked at the little girl and asked, "Do you have a sea-swallowing seashell? How can I give you my mid-quality pearls?" To Han Fei's surprise, the little girl nodded and said, "I can come to the level 3 fishery. Everyone in the level 3 fishery has a sea-swallowing seashell. Similarly, everyone has their own fishing boat. I am not as poor as you think." Han Fei was a little embarrassed. "Okay. That seems to be the case. Otherwise, how can I come to the level 3 fishery without a sea-swallowing seashell or a fishing boat? What about the sea exploration in the level 3 fishery?" Han Fei shook his hand and a fish skin bag appeared, which contained 500 mid-quality pearls. Han Fei handed it over casually and said, "Hey, little girl, what's your name? Since you don't lack money, why do you want to be a guide?" The little girl took the money and then looked at Han Fei seriously. "My name is Lin Miao Miao. I'm only responsible for explaining the knowledge of the entire dragon boat to you. It will take about 3 days. My price is 500 mid-quality pearls a day. Also, I'm not a little girl. I should be older than you. In a few months, I'll be 17. Also, I won't do anything other than explaining. If you want to find a lowly, you go to the lower deck to look for her." Han Fei. Han Fei was lost for words. "I've found AF asterisk King Little Devil, haven't I?" Han Fei said angrily. "I'm not interested in you. Don't flatter yourself. But why are you charging so much?" Lin Miao Miao replied seriously. "My explanation includes the upper levels, which can save you a lot of detours. For example, none of the map sellers could be trusted. As for the route map of the dragon boat, in fact, the dragon boat didn't have a route. It just traveled randomly. Another example would be the maps of dangerous places. Those places had been excavated by others. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been exposed. So, those are all worthless." Lin Miao Miao talked a lot. Han Fei finally understood. They were all liars, a bunch of liars. Han Fei said, "How are you going to take me to know about the dragon boat? All the way? Up and down 8 floors? If we walk there, I'm afraid we can't finish it in 3 days, right?" Lin Miao Miao explained. "To be precise, it's the upper and lower 12 floors. Generally speaking, the real basement floor is the trading area of the dragon boat, the second floor is the comprehensive catering area of the dragon boat, and the third floor is the basement floor, which is used for living. Of course, the catering area is actually on every floor, but the second floor is the most concentrated. Below the residential floor, that is, the bottom of the dragon boat, is the demonic fish breeding area and the working floor." He couldn't help but wonder, how big would a trading area be on a whole floor? Lin Miao Miao continued, "I won't take you to every area. I will only explain to you the precautions of this area to prevent you from being cheated by others. Because all the transactions that take place on the dragon boat will no longer count once you leave." Han Fei nodded. "That's not urgent. Tell me first, why do these people go fishing on the deck? It seems that wherever the dragon boat passes, these fish are not easy to catch, right? I'm afraid that only fish such as humming fish and crescent moon fish are easy to catch." Lin Miao Miao explained. "Those who can fish directly on the deck of the dragon boat are mostly dangling fishers. In the past, they would more or less have some opportunities. The consumption on the dragon boat is actually very high. The reason why these people don't have money is not that they really don't have money, but that the money they earn is not as fast as they spend it. When they have no money to spend, they naturally need to fish to make money." Han Fei was surprised. "Does it cost a lot of money here?" Lin Miao Miao looked at Han Fei. "You just stayed on the dragon boat for a few days and you spent 5,000 mid-quality pearls. If I explain to you for 3 days, it will cost you 1,500 mid-quality pearls. If you go to the trading area, you may run out of money when you come out. As for the Lolas you want to find, it's also very expensive." Han Fei's face was black. "Who wants to find Lolas? I just said it casually. My goal is the infinite ocean." "Lolas? What Lolas?" Han Fei was speechless. Why is this little girl so ignorant? Lin Miao Miao tilted her head and glanced at Han Fei. Her eyes were unclear and she didn't seem to believe him. It was the first time that Han Fei had come to the level 3 fishery. She had seen people who spent money like water in the level 3 fishery. Most likely, he was a heavenly talent who could easily make money. Of course, Lin Miao Miao didn't know Han Fei's ability to make money. Therefore, this was also a wild guess of hers. If she knew that Han Fei's money was all made by himself, she would think highly of Han Fei. While Han Fei and Lin Miao Miao were talking, someone caught a black moon sicklefish. A huge sickle cut through the air, and the dangling fisher failed to block it immediately, so the sickle cut flew directly towards Han Fei. Lin Miao Miao's face changed drastically. Be careful. However, Han Fei calmly took out a blue sea wandering dragon dagger. With a flash of spiritual energy, he took it head-on. Bam! Spiritual energy exploded and the surrounding air waves surged. Lin Miao Miao's face was a little pale. She was shocked by this power and was almost injured. However, what surprised her more was Han Fei's reaction speed and strength. The strength of the Black Moon sicklefish was definitely not to be underestimated. However, Han Fei caught it with a casual slash. Many dangling fishers who were fishing didn't have such strength. Warning, warning, just a few seconds later, there was one more guard in front of Han Fei. The guard glanced at Han Fei. Are you all right? Han Fei smiled faintly. I'm fine. The guard nodded and shouted to the dangling fisher, warning, fine 500 mid-quality pearls. Han Fei was speechless. Just because he failed to block this attack, he was fined 500 mid-quality pearls? Lin Miao Miao took a breath and said, since they are fishing, they have to bear the corresponding responsibility. If they hurt someone because of fishing, the price will not be this high. Looking at the dangling fisher sighing, Han Fei couldn't help asking, how much is a Black Moon sickle fish? Lin Miao Miao explained, the market price is about 320 mid-quality pearls. But the price changes every day, which depends on the number of this fish consumed on the dragon boat every day. When it's high, it can reach 400. When it's cheap, it's only a little more than 200. Han Fei twitched his mouth. So this person not only didn't get any money but was also fined 200 mid-quality pearls? What a scam! Suddenly, Lin Miao Miao asked, do you have any short-term goals in the near future? For example, improving your strength, buying weapons, looking for treasures. Choose one and I can introduce it to you. Without hesitation, Han Fei asked directly, I want some dangerous secret realms that have not been explored. Can you find the way? Han Fei pondered for a while and decided not to talk about the abyssal chasm. When he was in the White Mist Salt Marsh, he found that the secret realms in the level 3 fishery were not simple at all. How long had he been here? And he had already encountered a place like the White Mist Salt Marsh. So, the abyssal chasm should be much more dangerous than the White Mist Salt Marsh, right? In this case, he might as well find more dangerous secret realms to explore in the first half of the year. In this way, he could also quickly improve his strength. Lin Miao Miao shook her head. I don't know. The dangerous secret realms that have not been explored can only be found by oneself. If someone finds it but hasn't explored it, then the news will be sold. But the price is not cheap. The price is at least millions of mid-quality pearls. Ordinary people can't afford it at all. Han Fei secretly took a breath. It's really F***king expensive, but it seems to be expensive. After all, it is an unexplored secret realm. What really surprised him was that there were really people who could buy it. Chapter 316. In Han Fei's opinion, only a fool would sell a place like a treasure trove. That was a great opportunity. Could it be that someone would give up such a great opportunity? As if she could guess what Han Fei was thinking, Lin Miao Miao said bluntly, dangerous places don't necessarily mean opportunities. Some people found a dangerous place but did not have the strength to explore it, so they could only choose to sell it. After I sell it, I can buy a lot of resources on the dragon boat to improve my strength. Han Fei wondered, then how can the buyer be sure that the dangerous place is real? Who would know if they made up a story? Lin Miao Miao shook her head. Anyone who proposes to sell a dangerous place will usually buy it by dragon boat first. After confirmation by the dragon boat, they will choose whether to explore on their own or sell it. During this period, the person who provides the location is not allowed to leave the boat. Han Fei realized that the dragon boat had played the role of a middleman. If they encountered a good dangerous place, the dragon boats might be able to make a profit from it. Lin Meow Meow smiled. In fact, you are right. Under normal circumstances, there were very few people who sold danger zones. It's rare even on the dragon boat. After strolling for a long time, Han Fei and Lin Meow Meow exchanged questions and answers. Han Fei figured out many things that he didn't understand before. As it turned out, in San there were several places in the Level 3 fishery where danger and opportunity coexisted. Those places all seemed to contain shocking secret. At every moment there were people heading to those places. There were often people who obtained fortuitous encounters, but there were also often people who died. Places like this, such as San. There were no less than 10 Level 3 fisheries. The most typical one was the steps into the sea. Lin Meow Meow explained that the steps into the sea was Level 3. The Level 3 fishery was an extremely wonderful place. There was a vast platform on the sea, and in front of the platform was a flight of stairs formed by the flow of water. No one knew how these steps were formed. Everyone only knew that the area within a radius of 1,000 miles was a forbidden area. There was a huge seal sealing off the surroundings. If he wanted to enter the steps into the sea, he could only walk on the offshore platform. The steps into the sea led downwards. It was said that with each step down, the danger would increase. It was said that the current record of the steps into the sea was 208 floors, and someone had gone down 208 floors without dying. Such a result meant that the challenger had obtained an unparalleled opportunity. However, Lin Meow Meow didn't know about this. She was just an advanced great fishing master, and was not qualified to go to the steps into the sea. For a great fishing master, there was much more room for growth on the dragon boat than in San. Anywhere in the Level 3 fishery. At this moment, Lin Meow Meow took Han Fei to the trading area on the lower deck. Hardly had he entered the trading area when he heard all kinds of shouts. Blue amber that has just come out of the sea. It's an excellent material for forging spirit weapons. I'm selling it at a discount. Discovered one yellow-blooded sea cucumber while exploring the arcane realm. It can rapidly increase one's chi and blood. Extremely nutritious. If you want to buy it, hurry up. I only have one. Does anyone want the horn of the unicorn shark? If no one speaks, I'll shout again later. Black Moon Scythe clearance, only 100 mid-quality pearls. Treasure hunting fish on sale. 200 mid-quality pearls for one. Open the treasure bag and there's a chance to get a great opportunity. The dry leaf starfish is extremely difficult to catch. 800 mid-quality pearls for one. The first choice for a contractual spiritual beast. Don't miss it. Han Fei was dumbfounded when he heard that. The things sold on the dragon boat were really different. Damn it, it felt like all of them were good stuff. In the past, everyone scrambled for a treasure-digging fish. However, Han Fei saw a booth with hundreds of treasure-hunting fish, and people often went to open the bag to search for treasures. These treasure-hunting fish were better than the treasure-digging fish. After all, it was a Level 3 fishery. The treasures opened from the treasure-hunting fish were worth at least 2 coins. The items from the treasure-hunting fish would be worth at least 2 coins, no matter how bad they were. The probability of getting good treasures is not high. It's not easy to find spiritual fruit. Han Fei swallowed. But it's only 200 mid-quality pearls for one. Lin Meow Meow was speechless. What do you mean, only 200 mid-quality pearls for one? Lin Meow Meow was speechless. What do you mean, only 200 mid-quality pearls for one? 200 mid-quality pearls? Isn't it money? Lin Meow Meow said, drawing prizes is addictive. Some people come to open treasure hunting fish every day, only to be penniless in the end. He waved his hand and said, there's no rush. I'm going to open a few for fun. Lin Meow Meow. Han Fei quickly walked to the stall of treasure-hunting fish. The boss was a little old man. When he saw Han Fei, he hurriedly said, little friend, can I have a look? 2 days ago, someone asked for a green jadeite jewel from me. It's worth 20,000 mid-grade spiritual pearls. It could be said that he had made a killing. Little friend, how many do you want? Han Fei rubbed his hands and said, Give me 10. The little old man's eyes immediately lit up. This was a big customer. Lin Miao Miao followed Han Fei. Hey! Why are you probing so much? Han Fei smiled. I'm curious. I've always wanted to open a treasure-digging fish. Later, he felt that the treasure-digging fish was too low-grade and boring. Since I've encountered a treasure-hunting fish today, I'll have to satisfy my craving. The little old man hurriedly agreed, of course. If San comes. In the level 3 fishery, he hadn't even caught a treasure-hunting fish. The level 3 fishery? Little friend, I see that your face is full of divine light. You will definitely be able to find something good. With that, Han Fei pointed. I want this one, and this one. Suddenly, when Han Fei's hand passed by a treasure-hunting fish, he felt a slight tingling in his wrist, so he quickly said, and this one. Han Fei considered for a long time and placed 10 treasure-hunting fish on the table. The little old man raised his knife and said, Little friend, do you want to do it yourself, or do you want me to help you? Han Fei stretched out his hand and a blue sea wandering dragon dagger appeared. I'll do it myself. How can I ask others to help me with such a thing? Han Fei thought to himself, my precious gourd chose them together with mine. Otherwise, I'll get a big prize in the end. That would be amazing. Rip, in the eyes of the passers-by and Lin Miao Miao, the big bump on the head of the treasure-hunting fish was cut open, revealing a pale golden stone. However, the stone was filled with sparkling and translucent gravel. Hey, it's nature gold. What a loss. Some passers-by sighed. The little old man said, Go away, who said nature gold is a loss? This nature gold is also known as fish head gold, which is a material for refining high-quality magic weapons. It's worth 100 mid-quality pearls. But Han Fei didn't care and continued to cut it. Rip, hey. Transparent gypsum, it's even worse this time. The little old man chased the onlookers away again and said with a smile, Little friend, don't listen to their nonsense. This transparent gypsum can heal wounds. It's a first-class medicinal material for dealing with trauma, worth 80 mid-quality pearls. Han Fei had never studied it before. He was a spirit gatherer. Why would he need medicinal materials? However, there were all kinds of things in the ocean. This transparent gypsum was soft and seemed to be delicious. Han Fei continued to search for treasures. Water bile crystal, this thing is not bad. Someone immediately said, Little friend, I'll pay 200 mid-quality pearls. How about you sell it to me? Someone smiled and said, Little friend, I'll pay 300 mid-quality pearls. The little old man sneered again. Don't talk nonsense if you're not interested in treasures. This water bile crystal can temporarily store about 1,000 points of spiritual energy. At a critical moment, it can instantly fill up the spiritual energy deficit and save your life. It's worth at least 500 mid-quality pearls. Little friend, you've made a fortune. Han Fei looked at Lin Miao Miao, who was also a little surprised. Han Fei is really lucky. Lin Miao Miao nodded slightly. It's worth about 500 mid-quality pearls. Han Fei said casually, Put it aside and watch me continue to open it. However, after the fourth cut, Han Fei didn't find anything. The little old man quickly said, Little friend, don't worry. It's really rare to see a treasure-hunting fish without treasures. Han Fei nodded and continued to open it, only to see a yellow light emitting from the treasure pouch. Someone exclaimed, Oh, there's a treasure! Suddenly, Han Fei felt that a group of people surrounded him. Han Fei quickly dug out the thing, only to hear the little old man exclaim, It's a flash stone. Crush this thing and it can help you appear 10 miles away in an instant. This is a good treasure for escaping. This thing is worth at least 3,000 mid-quality pearls. Little friend, you've made a fortune. However, as soon as Han Fei took out the flash stone, someone behind him shouted, Little brother, I want this flash stone. I'll give you 3,000 mid-quality pearls now. Someone said, Why are you in such a hurry? Little brother, I'll give you a price that you can't refuse. I'll pay 4,000 mid-quality pearls. Suddenly, a woman said, I'll pay 5,000 mid-quality pearls. Han Fei turned his head and saw that it was a young girl. However, Han Fei didn't care and threw the flash stone into Forge the Universe. I won't sell this. Immediately afterward, Han Fei opened another spiritual fruit, which contained more than 80,000 points of spiritual energy. Someone offered 800 mid-quality pearls, but Han Fei didn't sell it. In a flash, Han Fei opened 2 more spiritual fruits, both of which were worth more than 500 mid-quality pearls. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but be tempted. The fish-eating crowd behind Lin Miao Miao and Han Fei couldn't help but be surprised. Han Fei was really lucky. The total number of mid-quality pearls was almost 10,000, wasn't it? Han Fei pushed the treasure-hunting fish to the side. Boss, give me 10 more. As Han Fei shouted, the fish-eating crowd behind him also shouted. Boss, I want 2 too. Boss, I'll pick 5. Old man, I'll pick 10. Everyone was a little jealous when they saw Han Fei open the treasures. Are the quality of this batch of treasure-hunting fish very good? Even the old man himself was doubtful. Is this kid's luck really that good? Even Lin Miao Miao was a little tempted. 2,000 mid-quality pearls, and he made 5 times the price in the blink of an eye? Han Fei's hand must have been gilded, right? Chapter 3:17. Han Fei was also stunned. I'm going to touch my prize. What are you doing here? How can I touch the prize when there are so many people here? The little old man's treasure-hunting fish stall was being robbed. Han Fei hurriedly grabbed 3 small gourds that could sense his presence. This scene attracted a lot of people to watch. For a time, the little old man's treasure-hunting fish stall was tightly surrounded. However, only half an hour later, someone was annoyed. Oh, why is it transparent gypsum again? Oh my god, I've already dug out 3 topazes. What a loss. No way. Why didn't I get anything? A group of people were complaining, but some were also surprised. Ha ha ha, I got a spiritual fruit. Damn! Water bladder crystal, I made a fortune. Han Fei, on the other hand, quietly opened 3 spiritual fruits in the crowd. However, he was hidden in the crowd and was not very conspicuous. After half an hour, Han Fei squeezed out of the crowd and said to Lin Miao Miao, It's crazy! These people are crazy. The old man's stall has been bought out by them. Lin Miao Miao was speechless. Don't you know why they bought it? However, Lin Miao Miao was also envious. Han Fei spent 4,000 mid-quality pearls, but he earned back his money with a flash stone. Besides, she also noticed that Han Fei got 3 spiritual fruits in his second treasure-hunting trip. He earned back his cost. As for the other things, even if they were incidental, he could earn at least 1,000 mid-quality pearls. Han Fei didn't mind and casually put them in a fish skin bag. To him, including the water urchin crystal, they were all defective goods. Han Fei felt they took up space in the fish skin bag. However, the fish skin bag was worth at least 5,000 mid-quality pearls in total. Han Fei said in distress, Can I sell these things? Lin Miao Miao's eyes lit up. Do you want to sell them? Han Fei asked, Can I? They're all useless things and take up space. I might as well change them to mid-quality pearls. Lin Miao Miao nodded. You can sell them to the dragon boat. The dragon boats will take them back, but the price offered by the dragon boats will be lower. However, if you trust me, I can help you sell them for 30% more. Of course, I want a 10% handling fee. Han Fei threw the bag to Lin Miao Miao. Deal. Let's continue. Lin Miao Miao was stunned. Brother, are you so casual? That was 5 or 6,000 mid-quality pearls. Lin Miao Miao asked, Aren't you afraid that I will run away? Han Fei smiled. You are just an advanced great fishing master. Where can you go? Don't tell me you want to go out to sea? Lin Miao Miao. After walking for about 2 or 3 kilometers, Han Fei stopped from time to time. Everywhere he went, he saw something new. One moment, he would touch the black moon scythe. The next moment, he would check on the three-headed sea serpent. For a time, Lin Miao Miao, the guide, completely became an escort. In Lin Miao Miao's eyes, Han Fei was a shopping maniac. At this moment, "Boss, how much is this yellow-blooded sea cucumber?" The boss said, "Little brother, it's only 1,000 mid-quality pearls. You won't lose anything." Han Fei said disdainfully, "The shop just now only charged 600 yuan. Why do you charge 1,000 yuan?" The owner, "What? 600? Oh, mine is fatter than his. Forget it, I'll give you 600 yuan too." Han Fei shook his head. "Boss, you are not honest. It's 500 yuan now." The boss, "You don't want to sell it? Then I'm leaving." Seeing that Han Fei was about to leave, the boss hurriedly shouted, "Don't go, little brother. Just 500 yuan. Just treat it as a friend." Lin Miao Miao looked at Han Fei skillfully taking out mid-quality pearls and couldn't help but wonder, is this guy really a genius from a big family? Why did it feel like his bargaining skills were even better than hers? Han Fei put away the yellow-blooded sea cucumber and thought, idiot, why did he sell such a good thing for only 500 mid-quality pearls? This was a great tonic that could greatly improve one's qi and blood. If it were in the Blue Sea town, 1,000 mid-quality pearls would definitely not be enough to buy it. Suddenly, Han Fei pointed to the houses and asked, "Are there any specialty shops?" Lin Miao Miao said, "Yes, the shops here have to pay rent, which is not cheap. However, the quality of the things inside is better than those in the stalls outside." From a distance, Han Fei saw a spiritual fruit specialty shop. Han Fei raised his foot and walked over. What a good shop! In order to activate his soul attachment ability, he had searched the bottom of the sea for many days. If he had boarded the dragon boat earlier, wouldn't he have been able to buy all of them in minutes? Lin Miao Miao was speechless. "You still want to buy more? You have already bought all the money you just made along the way." In the shop, as soon as Han Fei entered the door, a girl came up to him. "Brother, what do you want to buy? I have the most complete spiritual fruits here. I guarantee you will be satisfied." Han Fei glanced at them and all kinds of data appeared. He didn't bother to read them one by one, but directly looked at the spiritual energy value. Lin Miao Miao hurriedly followed up. "Han Fei, you should buy spiritual fruits according to your needs." Han Fei muttered, "It's okay. I know." Han Fei pointed his finger. "Boss, I want this one, and this one. This one is poison resistant, right? I want this one too. And this one. Lin Miao Miao was stunned. The female boss was also stunned. She didn't want to brag, but since she opened the shop, there hadn't been a player who bought so fast. He didn't even need to identify the spiritual fruits, and just pointed his finger at them. What kind of extravagance was this? How domineering he was! Lin Miao Miao was stunned. This Han Fei seems to be too rich. In the blink of an eye, before she could even see the names of those spiritual fruits clearly, he had pointed at them more than a dozen times. After a moment, putting 20 spiritual fruits on the counter, Han Fei suddenly asked, "Boss, do you have a discount?" The female boss smiled so hard that her eyes narrowed. "Yes, I'll give you a 5% discount." Han Fei frowned. 5% discount? Give me a bigger discount. I'll collect 30. Pooh! Lin Miao Miao almost vomited blood. From 20 to 30? Is this F*King collecting? The female boss immediately perked up. 10% discount. Han Fei pointed at the spiritual fruits again. Soon, the 30 spiritual fruits were collected. When a large number of mid-quality pearls were thrown into the basket, the female boss laughed so hard that she almost burst into laughter. The female owner, "Young friend, where do you live? In a few days, my store will have new spirit fruits delivered, and I guarantee they will all be of the best quality. I'll send it to you when the time comes." There was no need. "I don't even know if I'll be there in a few days. I'll come back later. The female boss thought to herself, what a pity. He was simply a nouveau riche. The kind that was inhumanely rich. Han Fei put the 30 boxes into a fish skin bag, grabbed a random one, and took a bite. Slurp, in the blink of an eye, a spirit fruit had been swallowed. Immediately, a fragrant aroma spread out in all directions, attracting the attention of the surrounding crowd. Many people stopped to watch. Lin Miao Miao swallowed her saliva and asked, "Don't you want to eat spiritual fruits? To cultivate? If you eat it like this, a lot of spiritual energy will dissipate." Han Fei thought to himself, "You don't understand. How can I tell you that I can save it?" Han Fei said leisurely, "Eating fruit is all about Kwai. Gone. As for spiritual energy, I'll cultivate it slowly." Lin Miao Miao was speechless. "If it weren't for the fact that I can't beat you, I really want to slap you to death. That was a spirit fruit. Hygienit's worth 800 mid-quality pearls, and you finished it in one bite. Was he an idiot?" Han Fei took out another anti-poison spiritual fruit and bit most of it in front of Lin Miao Miao. Then, he swallowed it whole. Lin Miao Miao only felt tired. Why did she pick up such a client? He was simply a prodigal. Looking at the spirit fruit that was swallowed by him, she felt her heart ache. As he walked, he suddenly paused. "Oh, by the way, do you know where this dragon boat is heading? Are there any special secret realms in this direction? It's just like the steps into the sea, which everyone knows and can go to." As soon as Lin Miao Miao heard her field of expertise, she immediately responded, "According to the current direction of the dragon boat, we will skim over the seaborne grassland and then pass the Valley of 10,000 Smoke. After that, I don't know. The dragon boat will also change its route. The reason why I'm sure it won't change its route in the short term is that the dragon boat just changed its route 5 days ago." Han Fei muttered, "Seaborne grassland, Valley of 10,000 Smoke." Han Fei suddenly said, "Isn't the seaborne grassland 100,000 kilometers away from here?" Lin Miao Miao nodded. "Yes. The dragon boat's speed is not too fast, and it will reach the seaborne grassland in about 20 days. Han Fei nodded slightly. "Then stay on the dragon boat for half a month. When we reach the seaborne grassland, we will get off." Chapter 3:18. In the trading area, Han Fei wandered for half a day. During the period, he went to the lottery again. However, this time, there seemed to be something wrong with the quality of the treasure-hunting fish. He didn't get many good things and only got 3 spiritual fruit. Immediately, Han Fei lost interest. Lin Miao Miao followed him all the way. She had never seen a boy shop more slowly than a girl. Seeing that most of the first day had passed, she couldn't help reminding him, "Don't you want to go to other areas? If we keep going like this, we can't even visit half of the trading area in a day." Han Fei's mind was not on this. At this moment, he was staring at a large shop called Treasure House, wondering if he should go in and have a look. So Han Fei said, it's okay. I can hire you for 2 more days. I have money." Lin Miao Miao was angry. "So what if you have money? However, Han Fei said he would hire her for a few more days. She thought to herself, yes, he is not in a hurry. Why should I be in a hurry? Han Fei and Lin Miao Miao walked forward and were about to step into the treasure house. However, coincidentally, a familiar face walked out from the opposite direction. "Yang Ruoyun?" "Han Fei?" Yang Ruoyun's face changed slightly. "You actually came out of the White Mist Salt Marsh?" White Mist Salt Marsh. Lin Miao Miao's pupils shrank, following Han Fei. She had heard of that place. It was said that when the dragon boat passed by the White Mist Salt Marsh last time, a very strong team explored that place. However, they didn't come back. It seemed that they all died there. Because of this incident, it caused a lot of sensation. Therefore, many people went to the White Mist Salt Marsh to test it. As a result, they all came back dejectedly. But this shopaholic in front of her actually went in and came out? Han Fei also smiled coldly. "Oh, what a coincidence! We ran into each other twice in the level 3 fishery that stretches for hundreds of thousands of kilometers? Yang Ruoyun snorted softly. Recently, there was only one dragon boat passing by here. Of course I would board it. What a coincidence. Han Fei looked at Yang Ruoyun and couldn't help but say, "Oh, no wonder you are an intermediate peak-level dangling fisher. I just took in 4 subordinates, and you killed them in a blink of an eye. Speaking of which, aren't you going to give me an explanation?" Yang Ruoyun looked at Han Fei thoughtfully. Everyone has the right to punish those who run the ghost boat. Cultivation was never easy, and countless geniuses had died in the hands of these people. Of course, we have to kill them. Han Fei was slightly taken aback. Yang Ruoyun spoke so matter-of-factly that she didn't seem to intend to explain at all. He couldn't help but think, this woman has a story. She seemed to have a deep hatred for ghost boat runners. However, Han Fei soon realized that something was wrong. He smiled and said, "What about the previous treasure trove? Did you go back again? I've already explored that place. It's just a small mystic realm. How could there be any great opportunities?" Yang Ruoyun glanced at him. "Are you going to discuss this with me here?" Han Fei wasn't sure. This woman was very shrewd and good at disguising herself. Besides, Han Fei was very suspicious. Before she killed Wang Yi and the others, did she also take away their secrets? For example, the undiscovered secret realm near the seaborne grassland. Han Fei rolled his eyes. "Then why don't you find a place? Let's talk about it?" Yang Ruoyun obviously thought for a while. "Okay, let's go to the dining area on the lower floor, okay?" Han Fei responded with a smile. "Okay." Lin Miao Miao stood next to him and said awkwardly, "Then I'll leave first. When you finish talking, I'll go to find you." Han Fei shook his head. "Don't worry. I still have a lot of places to visit. You can come with me. As my guide, I can afford to buy you a meal." Yang Ruoyun glanced at Lin Miao Miao. She didn't take an advanced great fishing master seriously at all. In the level 3 fishery, advanced great fishing masters couldn't even get out of the dragon boat. The dining area on the second floor of the dragon boat was also very lively. There were shops and roadside stalls everywhere. Yang Ruoyun seemed to be very familiar with this place. She took Han Fei straight to a shop called Drunk Immortal. Han Fei looked around. This shop was very big, different from ordinary restaurants. There were many large stoves here, and the diners all threw the seafood directly into the stoves. When the seafood was cooked, they ate it directly. Han Fei immediately said disdainfully, "I don't have an appetite. Can you cook here?" Yang Ruoyun nodded. "Of course you can, but it's more convenient to cook directly. Most people won't take so much trouble." Han Fei was speechless. "Girl, what do you mean? You mean I'm a troublemaker, right?" Han Fei couldn't help sneering. "That's because they don't know how to enjoy life. Life is short, but food can't be wasted. Facing the vast sea all day long, don't you know how to find some enjoyment for yourself?" Lin Miao Miao interjected in a low voice, "As long as you don't die, you can live for a long time." Han Fei's face darkened. "Little girl, don't you know how to talk? This is indescribable, indescribable." Han Fei asked someone to move the big stove away. He took out his big pot, cut a bunch of fancy low-quality spiritual fruits, and piled them at the bottom of the pot. Then, he lit the fire and pulled out a red-haired big-mouthed crab from Forge the Universe. Han Fei didn't cook it with the shell, but cut it with the blue sea wandering dragon daggers. He cut open the crab shell, and took out the crab meat and crab paste. Then he froze it with the blue sea wandering dragon daggers into pieces. Then he put the crab paste into the pot and cooked it. Seeing this scene, many diners around were very surprised, except for Yang Ruoyun. Even Lin Miao Miao's eyelids twitched. "What kind of eating method is this?" Next door, someone asked, "Little brother, are you very particular about the way you eat?" Han Fei responded, "Eating and sleeping are more pleasant things than sleeping. How can I not be particular about them?" Someone said, "Little brother, Do you want to share a table? Han Fei shrugged. No, I have something to discuss here. Hearing Han Fei's words, the diners around didn't speak anymore and all ate by themselves. Han Fei fiddled with the hot pot, dripping chili oil into it, and asked via voice transmission, I don't want to know what's in that secret realm. Anyway, I didn't get it. It's your luck that you can get it. However, my 4 dead subordinates know of a mystic realm. You already know about this. With that, Han Fei stared at Yang Ruoyan coldly. Yang Ruoyan responded calmly, Do you know what your temporary subordinates did after you entered the White Mist Salt Marsh? Han Fei was taken aback. What did they do? Yang Ruoyan said word by word, Kill me, rob me, and run away. Han Fei smiled. But in the end, they still died in your hands, didn't they? Since we met today, let's talk about the danger, shall we? This dragon boat will be close to the seaborne grassland in a few days. Will you get off the boat? Yang Ruoyan picked up a piece of crab paste and dipped it in the vinegar poured out by Han Fei. I don't know who the enemy is, so I don't care whether I get off the boat or not, but you definitely can't find that secret realm. Han Fei scoffed. If you don't want to share, why did you come to eat with me? Tell me, what's your purpose? Yang Ruoyan said, In fact, there is no real conflict between you and me. I can give you that secret realm, and I can even send you to the secret realm. But you have to help me with one thing. Han Fei grinned. Oh, so generous? It seems that what you want me to help you with is not simple. Yang Ruoyan shook her head. Intercept and kill 2 people with me. No matter whether you succeed or fail, as long as you dare to help me, I dare to give it to you. Han Fei thought to himself, This woman is a bit dangerous. I have to be careful not to be tricked again. She may have the intention to kill me. Otherwise, with her strength of killing 4 junior dangling fishers, how could she lead Wang Yi and the others to kill me? She must want to reap the benefits. Han Fei said calmly, Kill who? Lin Miaomiao couldn't hear anything on the side. She only saw Han Fei and Yang Ruoyan picking up a piece of crab meat from time to time, occasionally looking at each other, and making some expressions on their faces, so she could only pick up a piece of crab meat and eat it by herself. However, as soon as she ate, she was shocked. What the hell did Han Fei cook? The taste was so strange. She couldn't help but linger after taking a bite. Lin Miaomiao was very confused. Should I eat a few more pieces? After all, it's not mine. Will he dislike me if I eat too much? Just when Lin Miaomiao was struggling, Han Fei and Yang Ruoyan seemed to have finished talking. Yang Ruoyan got up and left, leaving Han Fei and Lin Miaomiao to eat hot pot. Han Fei glanced at Lin Miaomiao. Don't worry. This red-haired big-mouthed crab is a rare level 36 creature. How many do you think you can eat as an advanced great fishing master? In the end, as Han Fei said, just after eating for a while, Lin Miaomiao's body turned red. With her strength, she couldn't even catch an anti-heaven blade, let alone a red-haired big-mouthed crab. After eating too many high-level creatures, her body would naturally be full of spiritual energy, and she would feel a little drunk. After a while, when Han Fei fished up all the hot pot, Han Fei opened his room token and took a look. One side was engraved with 2nd floor, and the other side was engraved with the number 9377. Han Fei said lightly, Just come to me tomorrow. I won't go shopping today. Chapter 319. Han Fei didn't continue to wander around. The dragon boat was very big. If he really wandered around everywhere, he might not even have enough time for a month. Although he hadn't finished his stroll, Han Fei was not in a hurry. Anyway, he had planned to stay here for a while. Just now, Yang Ruoyan's suggestion made Han Fei think. To be honest, these people often mingled in the level 3 fishery. People in the level 3 fishery might be used to all kinds of trick. For example, the condition that Yang Ruoyan talked to him just now was to help her kill 2 intermediate dangling fishers. But Han Fei also increasingly understood that with the improvement of his realm, the range of cross-level combat was getting smaller and smaller. With Han Fei's own strength, It shouldn't be a big problem to deal with an advanced dangling fisher. However, it was not easy to kill the other party unless he used some trump cards. A few days ago, facing the attacks of Wang Yi and the other three, although Han Fei suppressed them all the way. However, if the four of them really fought with their lives, he would probably be injured. Similarly, Yang Ruoyun could kill Wang Yi and the other three, so it was impossible to say that she was not strong. Now, even people like Yang Ruoyun needed allies to deal with them, so they must not be weak. What Han Fei worried about was not whether the other party was weak or not, but whether there would be unexpected problems. According to Yang Ruoyun, these two people used to run ghost boats and had killed several of her friends. However, this was just her side of the story. Yang Ruoyun was not weak. Whether she was trustworthy or not was a problem. But when Han Fei thought about it, he found that in fact, the problem lied in strength. His current strength was only recognized by Yang Ruoyun, but it was obvious that the other party didn't seem to be really afraid of him. Then the question was he weak? In the face of absolute strength, all schemes and tricks were paper tigers. It seemed that he hadn't grown into a tiger yet. So Han Fei felt that he couldn't just wait. After experiencing the white mist salt marsh, he actually still had a lot of things to digest. He had to take advantage of these 10 or 20 days to digest them well. On the second floor of the dragon boat, after Han Fei showed his token, he was allowed to enter. When Han Fei found room 9377, he couldn't help but be a little speechless. He thought this would be a high-end and luxurious room. However, the entire room was just a platform. There wasn't even a F*king bed. F*ck. Am I supposed to sleep on the ground? Han Fei was speechless. Although cultivators didn't need to sleep in theory, it didn't mean that they didn't want to sleep. This was indeed a bit of a scam. As for the four walls of the room, they were all paved with mortal-grade spirit wood. Han Fei couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Was top-grade mortal-level spirit wood free of charge? How much did it cost to build such a big ship? Immediately, Han Fei sensed that the spiritual energy in the room was much denser than outside. The seaweed carvings on the wall seemed to be overflowing with spiritual energy all the time. However, Han Fei didn't pay too much attention to it. This bit of spiritual energy was not as useful as a spirit-gathering array. Han Fei sat on the ground and poured the spiritual fruits he bought and dug up from the white mist salt marsh on the ground. Han Fei didn't notice it before. In the end, this fall gave him a fright. At a glance, there were 37 spiritual fruits on the dragon boat alone. As for the spiritual fruits he dug up from the white mist salt marsh, some were thumb-sized, some were fist-sized, some were as long as a loofah, and some were the size of a ball, plus 3 stalks of spiritual grass. In total, there were 21 spiritual fruits and 3 stalks of spiritual grass. Among these 5 spiritual fruits, 39 simply strengthened his physique and blood, 3 enhanced his spiritual power, 2 enhanced his poison resistance, and 1 enhanced his eyesight. The rest was simply to enhance spiritual energy. Among them, the one with the best quality could enhance 102,062 points of spiritual energy. This number wasn't low at all. 5 spiritual fruits provided him with nearly 460,000 points of spiritual energy. Han Fei took a deep breath. Before, he had always felt that it was difficult to store spiritual energy. Even if he kept searching in the level 3 fishery, it would take him at least several months to find 50 or 60 spiritual fruit. But how long had it been? After a trip to the white mist salt marsh and boarding a dragon boat, he had obtained so many spiritual fruits at once. Han Fei made up his mind to exchange all the remaining hundreds of thousands of mid-quality pearls with him for spiritual fruits. If he could improve himself quickly with money, it would be a good deal. Han Fei was a little disappointed. Why did he only bring so little money to the level 3 fishery? The level 3 fishery? If he had known that he could buy so many spiritual fruits so easily, he would have brought half of the reserves of the fish dragons here. Han Fei grabbed a few spiritual fruits and began to eat them. After a while, when nearly 10 spiritual fruits were eaten, even Han Fei couldn't bear it anymore. Spiritual fruits could enhance spiritual energy, but because of their different functions, their blood reactions were also different. As Lin Miao Miao said, if he ate too much at once, it would take time. Cultivation. However, even so, this was already amazing. Which dangling fisher could eat 10 spiritual fruits at once? In the room, Han Fei's eyes glowed faintly and his mind was abnormally clear. At the same time, his body was quickly changing postures. Now, although the 10 spirit-absorbing war bodies could still provide the upper limit of spiritual energy, the effect was far less than before. It could be seen that even though it was a divine-quality battle technique, it had its limit. The next morning, at dawn, Han Fei heard a hasty knock on the door. Just got back from XU. Han Fei frowned and opened the door, only to see that Lin Miao Miao was already standing outside the door. You? Why are you here so early? Lin Miao Miao was taken aback to see Han Fei. She did not know whether it was her imagination or not, but she felt that Han Fei was different from yesterday, but she could not tell what it was. Without thinking about Han Fei's change, Lin Miao Miao quickly said, "Come on, the feast is about to begin." Han Fei was confused. Feast? What feast? But as soon as Han Fei went out, he found that many people came out of their rooms and went straight to the AI corridor to go. Han Fei asked curiously, "What's going on? How did you get up here?" Lin Miao Miao took Han Fei's hand. "I paid for it. Spending your money. You were the one who asked me to call you yesterday." Han Fei shrugged. It didn't matter. Dozens of mid-quality pearls were nothing to him. When Han Fei arrived at the second deck, he found that it was already full of people. There were even more people on the first floor, and it was already densely packed. Han Fei said in surprise, "Oh, what kind of feast is this? Why are so many people standing here?" Lin Miao Miao said mysteriously, "You will know soon. It's just me. Other guides won't take you here. Many newcomers don't know there will be such a feast when they board the dragon boat for the first time." Han Fei became more and more curious. What kind of feast is it? It seems to be a big feast. Suddenly, Han Fei heard a humming sound, which spread in all directions. Hum, hum, it sounded 3 times in a row. Many people widened their eyes and looked forward to it. Bam! Bam! Han Fei was taken aback and almost thought he had heard wrong, but the banging sounds became more and more frequent. The people around him all cheered. As this sound grew louder and louder, the sky and the earth seemed to change color. Looking at the dense spiritual energy gathering from all directions in the sky, Han Fei frowned. Spirit Gathering Array. Han Fei suddenly remembered that when he boarded the dragon boat, there were countless spirit gathering arrays engraved on it. Now there was no doubt that those spirit gathering arrays were activated. There was more and more spiritual energy, and gradually, the spiritual energy formed a spiritual energy storm. Perhaps the dragon boat had attracted too much spiritual energy, causing the sky to be distorted. This was not a real distortion, but the amount of spiritual energy was so great that it covered the sky. Han Fei took a deep breath. It's horrible. Even invisible and colorless spiritual energy can be distorted. How much spiritual energy is gathering on the dragon boat? The noise continued. On the sea, a large number of fish began to appear, such as humming fish, anti-heaven blade, spiky armor fish, crescent moon fish, pearl fish, treasure hunting fish, cuttlefish, razor clams, and spirit turtles. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. This scene was just like when he was practicing void fishing on the sea. It was the same as when he practiced the void fishing art, but it was grander and more exaggerated. Once, he was just a fishing boat, but here, Han Fei looked at the sea and saw all kinds of marine creatures. Occasionally, he could even find a few brilliant creatures among the fish, which were undoubtedly exotic creatures. Lin Miao Miao said, "You can't go out when the dragon boat is gathering spiritual energy." Someone once rushed out of the dragon boat at this time to catch exotic creatures, but as soon as he touched the sea, he was directly slaughtered by the fish. It was useless even if he was a peak-level dangling fisher. Han Fei smiled. Of course, a person could kill dozens or even hundreds of marine creatures, but could he kill thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of marine creatures? Chapter 320. Right now, there were probably millions of marine creatures gathered in his sight. What did that mean? If he used it as a reserve of spiritual energy, he would be able to deduce the 4th and 5th levels of the void fishing art in one go. Han Fei swallowed and looked at the shoals of fish that leaped out of the water and the spiritual energy storm formed by the gathering of endless spiritual energy, but his mind was far away. Lin Miao Miao. How fast is the fastest fishing boat in the level 3 fishery? Lin Miao Miao seemed to have gotten used to this scene, so she immediately said, I don't know. I can only use the most ordinary fishing boat. However, there were once unparalleled heavenly talents from the Thousand-Star City whose fishing boats could reach 30,000 kilometers a day. 30,000 miles a day? Han Fei calculated with his fingers. His white fishing boat could run about 10,000 kilometers a day at the fastest speed with sufficient spiritual energy. The fishing boats bought in the Linglong Tower could only sail about 7,000 kilometers a day. But what if he had a fishing boat that was engraved with speed arrays? Han Fei narrowed his eyes. He knew about speed arrays. In the spirit-gathering scripture that old Jiang left for him, although most of it was about the expansion and application of spirit-gathering arrays, there were also various kinds of arrays. Naturally, there were speed formations among them. Han Fei's breath was a little short. What if he got a fishing boat with a basic speed of 30,000 kilometers per day and engraved full of speed arrays? This thought flashed through Han Fei's mind, but it deeply touched him. The ship formation could gather spiritual energy so naturally it could also speed up. Seeing Han Fei's solemn face, Lin Miao Miao couldn't help but smile. Is this array too shocking? The first time I saw it, I was also shocked. I couldn't speak for a long time. Later, the waves will surge and the waterfall will reach hundreds of meters into the sky. It will be even more spectacular. Lin Miao Miao thought Han Fei was shocked by the scene in front of him, but Han Fei was shocked by his own thoughts. Han Fei wanted to build a ship, the fastest ship in the level 3 fishery. With such a ship, coupled with his own spiritual energy reserves, he could practically cross the S3 continent in a few dozen days. The level 3 fishery. At that time, he could explore the dangerous places on Old Bai's map using the landmarks such as the Seaborne Prairie or the steps into the sea as a starting point. The more he thought about it, the more rapid his breath became. He finally knew why he hadn't encountered many dangerous places until now. It was because he didn't have a good ship. When the water curtains surged and the shoals of fish leaped, the spirit-gathering tactical deployment on the dragon boat stopped attracting, the grand scene came to an end, and the crowd began to disperse. Han Fei didn't intend to leave but asked Lin Miao Miao, "Do you know where I can buy fishing boats on the dragon boat?" Selling fishing boats? That fishing boat seemed to be pretty good when you came. Han Fei didn't want to talk to Lin Miao Miao. "Just tell me where to sell it." Lin Miao Miao said suspiciously, "I will take you there. However, the best-selling fishing boat on the dragon boat won't be much better than yours." "It doesn't matter." Along the way, Han Fei asked, "Why are dragon boats gathering spiritual energy?" Lin Miao Miao looked at Han Fei as if looking at a fool. Of course, there were countless rooms on the dragon boat, and the higher they went, the denser the spiritual energy was. Some people cultivate a lot of spiritual energy. Cultivation consumed a lot of spiritual energy. Moreover, there were a lot of creatures at the bottom of the dragon boat. They all need spiritual energy and consume a lot of spiritual energy. Han Fei remembered that the spiritual energy in his room was indeed higher than that of the outside. This dragon boat was so big that it must consume a lot of spiritual energy. Just controlling the dragon boat to move forward would consume a terrifying amount of spiritual energy. There were very few shops selling fishing boats on the dragon boat, only 2 or 3. The shop that Lin Miao Miao took Han Fei to was opened by an old man. "Seventh Grandpa, I brought you a guest." Han Fei saw a thin old man playing with a floating stone at the moment. The shop was in a mess, like a repair shop, with all kinds of small accessories scattered everywhere. Han Fei asked in surprise, "How do you know this?" Lin Miao Miao pursed her lips and said, "When I came to the level 3 fishery, my fishing boat was destroyed. When he was in the level 3 fishery, his fishing boat was destroyed. Fortunately, he met 7th Grandpa. I'm trying to save money to buy a fishing boat now." The old man smiled and said, "Meow Meow, you haven't been here for a long time. Have you made money?" Lin Meow Meow secretly stuck out her tongue. "Soon, 7th Grandpa. This is my guest. He wants to buy a fishing boat." Before she finished speaking, Han Fei interrupted, "I don't want to buy a fishing boat." The old man glanced at Han Fei and said, "If you don't want to buy a fishing boat, what are you doing here?" Han Fei grinned. "Old sir, I'm here to buy knowledge. Can you tell me what materials an ultra-quality fishing boat needs?" Lin Miao Miao looked at Han Fei speechlessly. "What materials? Do you want to make your own fishing boat?" The old man was obviously taken aback, then raised his eyelids and looked at Han Fei up and down. "Just ask about the materials? Don't ask about the structure?" Han Fei shook his head. "Just ask about the materials, not the structure." Han Fei knew the structure of the hull too well. Apart from aircraft carriers and cruisers, he was extremely familiar with yachts, fishing boats, and fishing boat. Of course, those were all boats in the traditional sense, which were very different from the fishing boats here. The old man gave a slight huh, and then looked at Han Fei. "What level of fishing boat do you want to build?" Han Fei replied, "The fastest fishing boat." The old man sneered. "There is no fastest fishing boat in the world. Fishing boats will only become faster and faster as the materials get better and better." Han Fei smiled and said, "Then I want the fastest fishing boat in the level 3 fishery." The fastest fishing boat in the level 3 fishery. Lin Miao Miao was speechless. "Why don't you go to heaven? The fastest fishing boat in the level 3 fishery? Do you know how much a fishing boat that can travel 30,000 kilometers a day in the 1,000-star city costs? That's at least 400,000 to 500,000 mid-quality pearls." However, the old man just smiled casually. "That's okay. But it's not cheap to figure out these materials." Han Fei nodded. "It doesn't matter as long as you can provide it." The old man nodded faintly and got up lazily. "Since you are brought here by Meow Meow, I'll charge you 100,000 mid-quality pearls." Han Fei was stunned. "I only bought a fishing boat for 100,000 yuan, and you asked me for 100,000 yuan for a material?" The old man snorted and said, "You must have seen the spirit gathering array and are tempted, right? There weren't many materials that could support an array formation. You want the fastest, but you know San. How fast is the fastest fishing boat in the level 3 fishery?" "How fast?" The old man raised his finger. "At present, the fastest is the Ghost Speed Divine boat from the 1,000-star city, which can travel 4,200 kilometers in 2 hours. In theory, this was the fastest fishing boat. I can tell you frankly that even in the legendary unknown place, this Ghost Speed Divine boat can travel smoothly, and few other fishing boats can catch up with it." Han Fei calculated in his heart and immediately raised his eyelid. This speed was indeed fast. If they didn't sleep for a day and a night, they would have reached a theoretical distance of 50,400 kilometers. Han Fei took a breath and said, "This Ghost Speed Divine boat is in S3. How many level 3 fisheries are there?" Amos raised his head and thought for a moment. "I'm not sure. They were all brought in from the outside, but there should be at least a dozen or so." So many. How many? The old man patted a board in the shop and said, Do you know how much a ghost speed divine boat is worth? No less than 10 million mid-quality pearls, and you can't buy it just because you have money. Do you think it's too much? Han Fei gasped. 10 million mid-quality pearls? That was quite a number. If they were all used to buy spirit fruits, how many could they buy? Once again, Han Fei found that he was terribly poor. Why did he think that the level 3 fishery didn't cost much? Look, a question costs 100,000 mid-quality pearls. At this moment, he finally understood. The level 3 fishery was really a place where people spent money like water. However, seeing the old man appraising the ghost speed divine boat so easily, Han Fei couldn't help but ask, Sir, then how fast will the fastest fishing boat built by this method be? The old man shook his head slightly and sighed. If you can get the materials and build it, I'm afraid it can reach 5,000 kilometers in 2 hours. Han Fei frowned slightly. Only so much after the array is engraved? The old man rolled his eyes at Han Fei. What do you think? Do you think it is so easy to build an extreme speed fishing boat? If it is so easy, wouldn't the entire level 3 fishery be full? Wouldn't the entire level 3 fishery be full? Are you going to buy it or not? Lin Miao Miao listened to the conversation between the two and was speechless. She was still thinking about how to improve her strength, but Han Fei had already started to play with fishing boats? She couldn't help sticking out her tongue. She really couldn't understand the world of the rich. In her opinion, there was not much difference between fast and slow. However, Han Fei smiled and said, Yes. Chapter 321. Naturally, Han Fei wouldn't be shocked by the price of 100,000 mid-quality pearls. On the contrary, if you spend 100,000 mid-quality pearls, you can really buy a SAN. He was more than willing to pay for the material knowledge of the fastest fishing boat in the level 3 fishery. Dong dong dong, Han Fei waved his hand, and 5 big boxes fell to the ground. When the box was opened, it was full of mid-quality pearls, which made Lin Miao Miao short of breath. That was 100,000 mid-quality pearls. Was there really someone who was willing to spend so much money to buy a list of materials? Han Fei didn't ask if the list given by the old man was true because he saw a piece of wood in the old man's hand, which turned out to be a spiritual weapon. Of course, Han Fei was not shocked because of this, but because he saw that there was an array on the wooden fittings. Looking at the patterns, it seemed to be some kind of extreme speed array. It was slightly different from what he knew, but the array was still similar. Just based on these points, it was clear that this old man had some skill. He wouldn't give me fake materials just to cheat me of 100,000 mid-quality pearls, would he? Would you like to order it? The old man glanced at Han Fei again. Don't you want to know how difficult it is to obtain this material? If it's that easy to get, what do you think? The fastest fishing boat in the level 3 fishery is still the Ghost Speed Divine boat? Han Fei smiled. Just because it's difficult doesn't mean it's impossible. If that doesn't work, why don't you just write a backup material next to each material? Even if it can't reach 5,000 kilometers per hour, it shouldn't be much slower than the Ghost Speed Divine boat. The old man nodded slightly. Fine, I can write down the materials for you. Also, I can tell you the approximate location of these materials. However, I don't know where some of the materials are. It all depends on your luck. The old man rummaged through the trash in the shop for a long time and finally found a small box. Then, he took out a fish skin map, wrote on it for a while, and threw the box to Han Fei. The old man picked up a floating stone and said, "One floating stone is not enough for this kind of boat. Even ordinary floating stones are not good enough. Do you want to buy 2 from me? It wasn't expensive. This thing isn't that rare. How about I charge you 30,000 for one?" Han Fei ignored the old man. "The floating stone in your hand is the same as the floating stone in the fishing boat I bought with 100,000 yuan, okay?" Han Fei looked at the old man's fish skin and saw that there were 4 floating stones on it. He then looked at the plan for the main keel and side keel, as well as the dragon tendons and ribs. Only then did he realize that the old man wanted to turn the single-cylinder engine into a four-cylinder engine. What AF** King Genius. The corner of Han Fei's mouth twitched. I'll buy it for 20,000 each. The old man shook his head. 20,000? Where are you going to buy it? The price I gave you was already very cheap. I'll give you a discount of 5,000. If they were to talk about business, they wouldn't be as easy to talk to as before. Han Fei smiled. Sir, I can give you 50,000 yuan at most. I can't give you any more, I'm almost out of money. The old man said indifferently, I'll earn it after I've spent it. Look at this ship full of people. Who isn't making money? Han Fei chuckled. If I get off this dragon boat, I don't know if I will have a chance to meet it again. At that time, I will board another dragon boat. Can you still make money? The old man thought about it and felt that it made sense. Suddenly, his face darkened. Forget it. If Miao Miao hadn't brought you here, I wouldn't have sold it to you. 50,000 it is, take it. Next to him, Lin Miao Miao stood still, blinking her eyes. Are rich people so capricious? 150,000 mid-quality pearls for a fish skin map and 2 floating stones? The way he did things and the way he did things simply stunned her. Out of the fishing boat shop, Han Fei walked onto the deck and looked up at the sky. I'm so poor. Pooh, Lin Miao Miao rolled her eyes. You call this poor? If you're poor, there are few rich people on this dragon boat. Han Fei took a look and found that he still had 20,000 mid-quality pearls on him. He suddenly felt that he was too poor. This was only the second day on the dragon boat. 200,000 mid-quality pearls. Who could understand this kind of pain? Han Fei looked at Lin Miao Miao. I have a batch of goods for you to sell. Can you sell them? Lin Miao Miao blinks. What? Han Fei waved his hand and an ultra-quality sea bamboo appeared in his hand. This. Lin Miao Miao rolled her eyes. This kind of seabed spiritual wood and spiritual bamboo stick may be worth a lot of money in the town. However, in Sannan the level 1 fishery, 500 at most. Han Fei's lips twitched. Okay, 500? How much is a top-grade magic treasure? Lin Miao Miao thought for a while. This kind of wood can only be refined into mid-quality or high-quality magic weapons, worth about 20,000 mid-quality pearls. If it's a supreme-grade magic treasure, the price will be around 40,000 or 50,000. Generally, it won't exceed this figure. Han Fei was stunned. The highest price in the town is 100,000 yuan or even 200,000 yuan. Lin Miao Miao rolls her eyes again. I said the town is the town. The level 3 fishery, the level 3 fishery. Besides, there were few ultra-quality magic weapons in the town that could reach 200,000 mid-quality pearls. With this kind of money, people would go buy spirit weapons. Usually, only those very special top-grade magic treasures would be sold at such a high price. Han Fei wondered, in that case, wouldn't I be able to make a lot of money if I run both sides to earn the difference? Lin Miao Miao shook her head again. Of course not. First, come to San. The level 3 fishery did not directly appear on the dragon boat. You'll need to spend some time looking for a dragon boat, and that's a big risk. Perhaps you might think that those who are strong don't care, but even if the highest quality magic treasures are calculated according to the lowest price of 40,000 each, buying 10 of them would cost 400,000. It would cost 4 million to buy 100 pieces. How many people on this dragon boat could afford this? Moreover, San. The good things in the level 3 fishery are cheaper. I'll spend it here. Even if someone really does this and spends 4 million to buy 100 top-grade magic treasures, the price will indeed double. Who did he sell it to? Can't come to San. Few people in the level 3 fishery could afford it. Can come to San Francisco. If he was in the level 3 fishery, he would buy it here if he had the money. Besides, even if he could sell it, it would take him a long time to do so. Come on, everybody. The level 3 fishery was not for business but to improve their strength. Therefore, the kind of reselling that you mentioned will be very rare. Han Fei glanced at Lin Miao Miao in surprise. This girl is very talented in business. Indeed, after hearing her analysis, Han Fei also understood. Although the purchasing power of the town was much stronger than that of the village, it was still the same as that of the village. The level 3 fishery was still incomparable. Do you really want to kill San? It was possible to make some money from the level 3 fishery in the town, but not so fast. Han Fei thought of something. Hey, let's go. Take me to buy materials. I only want ultra-quality materials. You still want to buy more? Lin Miao Miao was speechless. Didn't you just say you had no money? He was just bemoaning to the heavens that he was poor. Han Fei chuckled. Isn't it cheap? I still have some money, I can buy some more. In the trading area, Han Fei saw a stall full of treasure-hunting fish again. He swallowed his saliva and said to himself, No hurry, no hurry. It's still early. It's more important to get down to business. After a moment, Lin Miao Miao was dumbfounded. Han Fei spent money like water. He wanted all the ultra-quality materials. In the blink of an eye, in less than half an hour, Han Fei had bought nearly 40 materials. Han Fei suddenly turned his eyes to Lin Miao Miao. Yesterday you said you would help me sell things. Where is the money? Lin Miao Miao's eyelids twitch. You still want to buy it? Don't you have a spirit artifact? Why are you buying magic treasure-grade materials? Han Fei didn't answer but simply urged, Scatter first. Lin Miao Miao was speechless. She reluctantly took out 500 mid-quality pearls and gave them to Han Fei, thinking to herself, This guy must be a prodigal. What kind of weirdo did I meet? In less than half an hour, the 500 mid-quality pearls were all spent. Han Fei said to Lin Miao Miao, I'll go back first. Call me tomorrow morning. Lin Miao Miao was stunned. Hey, I haven't finished today? Han Fei said indifferently, Let's go tomorrow. Lin Miao Miao waved his hand and said without looking back, Then today's guide fee. Still have to be paid. Han Fei waved his hand and said without looking back, Then I'll pay you. Chapter 322. After returning to his room, Han Fei didn't immediately start refining. Instead, he stepped on a spirit-gathering formation and drew a small formation in the room with spiritual energy. This was a low-level formation called the Fog Formation. The formation itself had no offensive or defensive ability, and its only function was to block others' sight. Han Fei had tried it before, but his spiritual perception couldn't penetrate the room of the dragon boat. Obviously, this room had been set up, so his spiritual power couldn't penetrate it. To put it nicely, it was to protect all the guests. After all, no one wanted to be disturbed. He didn't want to be disturbed during his cultivation. However, Han Fei felt that it was better to take some precautions. What if there was any monitoring mechanism on this dragon boat that he didn't understand? Then wouldn't the secret of the demon purification pot be exposed to others? When the room was filled with white mist and Han Fei could no longer see anything, he sat down on the ground and pulled out the pile of materials. Early the next morning, Han Fei was lying on the ground. He was practicing the 10 spirit-absorbing war bodies. He felt that there was still a lot of room for improvement in his current physique. However, half a month's time was too short. Based on the current rate of progress, at this rate, it would take him 3 months to push his physique to the peak. Han Fei sighed slightly. It's hard to practice. I wonder if it's because of practicing the indestructible body art. Because of practicing the indestructible body art, his physique should have been extremely strong, but the upper limit of his spiritual energy could still be improved slowly, and there seemed to be a little room for improvement in his flesh and bones. It seemed that there was an invisible barrier. Han Fei sighed secretly. I wonder if I will be struck by lightning when I deduce the 4th level of the void fishing art. The moment he thought of this, Han Fei felt a cold sweat. Why the hell do I have this idea? Do people like to be struck by lightning? Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Han Fei got up and opened the door. When Lin Miao Miao saw Han Fei, she exclaimed, "Why are you sweating all over?" Han Fei stretched his body and said, "Xiao. Practice. Practice hard. Only by practicing can I grow quickly." Lin Miao Miao was speechless. "Lien. You only know how to spend money." Suddenly, Han Fei whispered, "Alas, where do you sell your things?" Lin Miao Miao is stunned. "What is it?" Han Fei grimaced and said, "Where are they sold? Can you take me there?" Lin Miao Miao's face suddenly turned black. "Trash? You call something that can be sold for 5 or 6,000 yuan trash? I even took a 10% cut, which means that those things are very valuable, okay?" However, Lin Miao Miao immediately asked warily, "This is a secret. Do you have something to sell?" Han Fei was lost for words. "What secret? You don't even want to talk about it. We're all in the same boat. At most, I'll give you 5%. Lin Miao Miao hesitated for a while and didn't want to agree. Previously, it had been 10%, but now it had become 5%. Yesterday, he was spending money like dirt. How did he become so stingy now? For the sake of half a share of the profits, he even used his own channels. While thinking, Lin Miao Miao saw Han Fei take out a long sword. It was a supreme-grade magic treasure, and it emitted a chilling light. Han Fei said telepathically, "I still have 30 more of them." Lin Miao Miao exclaimed and her eyes widened. Han Fei frowned. "Don't make a fuss. Keep a low profile." Lin Miao Miao suddenly looked at Han Fei in horror and immediately asked via voice transmission, "Are you a refiner?" An absurd idea came to Lin Miao Miao's mind. Were the materials Han Fei bought yesterday all for refining? However, even if he was an armament master, how could he possibly have such a fast speed? It had only been a day. Refining 30 top-grade magic treasures? What kind of joke was that? Han Fei said telepathically, "I'll tell you, but don't tell anyone else. Yes, I am a legendary refiner. But this sand. The level 3 fishery is very dangerous, so I can't easily reveal it." Lin Miao Miao nodded repeatedly. Then, "Come with me." Lin Miao Miao compromised. She really couldn't refuse 50 or 60,000 mid-quality pearls. Oh, yes, if Han Fei really had 30 ultra-quality magic weapons, he could definitely sell them for millions of yuan. What did that mean? It was equivalent to being a guide for more than 100 times. Lin Miao Miao whispered, "Put away the things and follow me." After a while, Lin Miao Miao took Han Fei all the way down to the lower 3 floors of the boat. Han Fei immediately asked, "Here? Isn't accommodation free here? Do people buy things here?" Lin Miao Miao shook her head. In addition to free accommodation, the lower 3 floors are also the most chaotic place on the dragon boat. There are people from all walks of life here. I used to live here because I didn't have money. I also accidentally discovered the existence of the trade here. Lin Miao Miao took Han Fei around and finally came to a dark house. Someone was dissecting the anti-heaven knife at the door and throwing the fish's internal organs casually on the ground. Someone was leaning against the house, eating sea melon seeds, and glancing around with shifty eyes. A few people were gambling in a circle with wine jars in their hands, making a lot of noise. The lower 3 floors were in a foul atmosphere. The air was filled with the smell of fish. After all kinds of messy things were mixed up, it was a turbid scene as far as the eye could see. However, when Lin Miao Miao led Han Fei into the door, 2 strong men stood up. One of them glanced at Lin Miao Miao and asked, "Who is he?" Lin Miao Miao nodded. "He's a seller." With that, Lin Miao Miao said to Han Fei, "Take out one." Han Fei nodded slightly and took out 2 daggers. "Show." The 2 strong men looked at him, and then one of them turned into the house and said, "Follow me." After walking in the dark space for a while, the big man took out 2 black robes. "Come on, put them on." Lin Miao Miao said to him via voice transmission, "There are a lot of shameful things here, so you have to wear a black robe and a mask to avoid being recognized." Han Fei was a little surprised. That's quite mysterious. Han Fei put on the black robe. After putting on the mask, he followed Lin Miao Miao and walked in from a secret door. After entering, Han Fei found that the space here was very large, stretching for more than several kilometers. In the darkness, many people squatted on the ground, silent. So it seemed extremely quiet here. Lin Miao Miao said to him via voice transmission, "The rule here is that you can't talk. All goods must be bought and sold. As long as you pay the money, it's useless for you to go back on your words immediately." Han Fei looked at the customers who were wandering around the stalls. There were a lot of them, and it was quite lively. Some people refused to leave with their things, and seemed to be talking to the seller. Someone took out the money, put away the things, and walked into the darkness with the black robe covering his face. Lin Miao Miao said, "You don't need to take the initiative to find someone to trade here. Just pay the money and open the stall." Han Fei asked, "How do I pay?" Lin Miao Miao took Han Fei to a shipboard not far away, knocked gently with her hand, and a small window opened on the shipboard. A man in a black robe glanced at the two of them and stretched out his hand. After Lin Miao Miao paid the money, the man handed out a piece of paper with only the number 63 on it. Lin Miao Miao said, "Our position is number 63. Just go there and set up the stall." This was the first time that Han Fei had seen such a trading venue and way of trading. Following Lin Miao Miao to the so-called stall number 63, Han Fei could still see a piece of sea melon seed shells on the ground. He was a little speechless. Lin Miao Miao asked, "Even I don't dislike it. Why do you dislike it?" Han Fei was speechless. "If you don't dislike it, why can't I dislike it?" Next, Lin Miao Miao took out a big fish skin and spread it out directly. Then Lin Miao Miao looked at Han Fei. "Just take out all the things you want to sell." Han Fei waved his hand and a pile of weapons was thrown out. Lin Miao Miao was startled. "Slow down," she immediately shook the fish skin and tried not to make a sound, but she still made a sound. Clang! Bam! Bam! Suddenly, many people looked at this side. Lin Miao Miao said helplessly, "No sound is allowed here. If you make a sound, you will be fined 100 mid-quality pearls." Han Fei was speechless. "Is there such a thing? That's disgusting. How can I not make a sound when I sell weapons?" However, after a few seconds, a man in a black robe stood in front of Han Fei's stall and directly stretched out his hand. Lin Miao Miao said, "Give me the money." Han Fei responded, "Give me the money first. I'm out of money." Lin Miao Miao. Lin Miao Miao gave him the money and was speechless. "That's 100 mid-quality pearls." However, the look in her eyes changed immediately. Although Han Fei made a sound just now, it attracted some people's attention. Very soon, a few people walked over. When a man saw a pile of ultra-quality magic weapons on the ground, he immediately squatted down, picked up an axe, and looked at Han Fei. "How much is this axe?" Han Fei responded, 50,000 mid-quality pearls. Chapter 323. The man picked up the axe, paused for a moment, and then looked at Han Fei. "It's not bad, but it's too expensive." Han Fei responded, "I'm sure it's better than others." However, the man shook his head. "I don't know who you are. Can you sell it for 40,000 yuan or not?" Lin Miao Miao said to Han Fei via voice transmission, "It's common to bargain in the black market. You can choose not to sell it or bargain with him. But generally, you can't bargain much." Han Fei nodded slightly and looked at the man opposite. "I'll charge you 5,000 yuan less. Otherwise, I won't sell it. What I have here are all ultra-quality magic weapons, not a single high-quality one. Besides, these are all made by a refiner. What I got are all first-hand goods." The person on the other side thought for a moment. His eyes slightly glanced behind him, and saw a few people walking over. Then he took a deep look at Han Fei. "I'll take it." The man put down the mid-quality pearls and left, and Han Fei was overjoyed. Isn't it too easy to make money? In the blink of an eye, he had earned 45,000 mid-quality pearls. and one of the people who had just come over was obviously a woman. At this moment, she picked up a long whip casually. This long whip had serrated teeth and was extremely sharp. The woman wiped it with her hand and scarlet blood dripped out. Han Fei was about to say, "If you don't pay, don't bleed." But the next moment, there were two big boxes in front of him. Han Fei scanned them with his spiritual energy and found there were 50,000 mid-quality pearls. This woman was really straightforward. She actually bought it right away. After a moment, Lin Miao Miao was surprised. She hadn't seen many people selling ultra-quality magic weapons before. As for high-quality and mid-quality magic weapons, not many people bought them. She thought this business was not good, but who knew it was so good? After only half an hour, Han Fei had already sold 10 ultra-quality magic weapons. Seeing Lin Miao Miao's eyes widened, Han Fei said, "Don't be surprised. You don't know the gap between high-quality and ultra-quality magic weapons. If you don't have a spiritual weapon in your hand, an ultra-quality magic weapon that can exert its full strength is sometimes even not weaker than a low-quality spiritual weapon." Lin Miao Miao blinked. She really didn't know this. She was just an advanced great fishing master, and she only had one high-quality magic weapon. Therefore, it was understandable that Lin Miao Miao didn't know much about weapons. After a while, Han Fei sold 7 or 8 ultra-quality magic weapons in his stall. At this moment, Han Fei had already made a lot of money. He thought to himself, "This is so king profitable. If he continued to sell them in this way, half a month later, he would be able to earn tens of millions a day." Who would have thought that the total profit of operating in Blue Sea Town for more than a year would be less than that of San? How many days he could earn so much in the level 3 fishery? Just when Han Fei was feeling complacent, his eyes suddenly dimmed. When he raised his head, he found 3 black-robed men standing in front of the stall. Han Fei said telepathically, "If you want to buy it, hurry up. If you're fast, you'll get it." However, the 3 of them remained unmoved. One of them glanced at Lin Miao Miao and then said to the 2 of them via voice transmission, "You broke the rules. Don't you know that no more than 10 high-level things can be sold in the black market at a time?" Lin Miao Miao is stunned. When did this rule come into being? The man glanced at them coldly. Ultra-quality magic weapons, each priced at nearly 50,000 mid-quality pearls, and 10 of them are sold for 500,000. In this way, it will quickly suck away the money in the hands of the buyers. How will the other stalls do business then? Lin Miao Miao said in a voice transmission, "But I've seen people selling spiritual weapons and combat skills here before, and there are more than 10 of them." The black-robed man snorted lightly. "That was in the past. This is now." Han Fei's eyes slightly changed. "I've sold it now. What are you going to do?" The man said, "Tell me, who refined this batch of ultra-quality magic treasures? Where was he? I told you, you can continue selling them here today. I don't care." Han Fei narrowed his eyes. So these people are deliberately looking for trouble? Seeing that his business was booming, he must be jealous. Han Fei looked around but didn't see anyone coming to uphold justice. He immediately realized that the manager of this black market was probably interested in the source of his top-quality magic treasures. Han Fei was silent for a while and suddenly said, "Let's close the stall. We won't sell them." However, the next moment, the 3 people in front of him stepped on the ultra-quality magic treasures under their feet. "It's okay if you don't want to sell them. Leave these magic treasures here." Han Fei looked at Lin Miao Miao and said to them via voice transmission, "Can you kill people in the black market?" The 3 black-robed men sneered. "You violated the rules of the black market first. Leave the things here, or I'll kill you." Han Fei smiled and looked at the 3 people in front of him. "What if I say no? You're courting death." Han Fei felt a powerful force suddenly hitting his mind. He immediately realized that this was a soul attack. Han Fei was fine. After all, He had the soul resistance pearl and the god-scaring painting. His spiritual power was far stronger than that of ordinary people. But Lin Miao Miao was just an advanced great fishing master. Sure enough, Han Fei turned his head, only to find that Lin Miao Miao was bleeding from her 7 orifices. Blood was gurgling in her mouth, and she was falling backward. "You're courting death." At this time, Han Fei didn't care about the Bullsh *T rule. Although Lin Miao Miao was a little greedy, she had helped him a lot in the past 2 days. Moreover, she was a very conscientious person. If it weren't for his request, Lin Miao Miao wouldn't have brought him to this black market. But now, an advanced great fishing master was attacked by a dangling fisher with a spiritual talent. Han Fei really hoped that he wouldn't be beaten into a fool by this blow. Han Fei frowned. This was very possible. Lu Renkuang was knocked out by the soul-attracting jellyfish, and was also bleeding from his 7 orifices. But Lu Renkuang was much stronger than Lin Miao Miao. He could withstand a spiritual shock, but it didn't mean that Lin Miao Miao could. In an instant, Han Fei was furious and a long knife appeared in his hand. The 3 black-robed men on the opposite side couldn't help but be surprised to see that Han Fei was fine. In the next second, the 3 of them had just summoned their weapons, but Han Fei had already pulled out his knife. In an instant, spiritual energy surged like a dragon, and within a radius of 100 meters, there were terrifying spiritual energy fluctuations. Before the black-robed man in the booth next to Han Fei had time to run, he was sent flying by the momentum of this knife. "Stop!" While Han Fei pulled out his knife, he heard someone scolding in the distance. The sound waves rolled over, scaring many people who set up stalls to pack up immediately. However, it was already too late. How could he take back his knife? A terrifying knife light flashed across the sky, and the 3 people in front of Han Fei retreated frantically, looking horrified. Before they could finish their words, the knife light had already swept past, and 2 of them were directly killed. The remaining leader reacted the fastest, and had already put a low-quality spiritual weapon in front of him. However, what was the use of this? With a crack, the spiritual weapon broke, and a line of blood flowed down from his forehead. This person was directly split in half. "Thief, how dare you make trouble in the black market? Go to hell." After killing 3 people, Han Fei picked up Lin Miao Miao. At the same time, he waved his hand, put away the ultra-quality magic weapons on the ground, and rushed out of the black market like a cheetah. Swish! After running for less than a kilometer, Han Fei felt an arrow bursting at him from behind. Its power was so strong that it even gave him a sense of fatal danger. Han Fei was a little scared. This person was not an intermediate dangling fisher, nor an advanced dangling fisher, but at least a peak-level dangling fisher. Han Fei held Lin Miao Miao's body, made a strange movement, and brushed past the arrow with his back. Han Fei ran wildly again, but 3 more arrows followed him in a row. Han Fei was shocked. This black market was actually controlled by a peak-level dangling fisher? Dodge! Dodge! BM! The arrows were too fast. Although Han Fei had tried his best, he was still hit by the last arrow. Puff! His spiritual energy protective cover was instantly shattered. Han Fei staggered and fell forward, but then he was attached to the 9-tailed mantis shrimp and his claws moved forward as if he were walking on waves. At the same time, Han Fei's speed increased a little and he directly rushed out of the door. Han Fei's face was pale. A peak-level dangling fisher was too strong. That arrow actually penetrated 3 inches into his body. At this moment, the spiritual energy of the other party was still destroying his body. F***CK, next time I come back, I'll kill you. Han Fei quickly shuttled through the 3rd floor. Along the way, many people were still dumbfounded, only feeling a gust of wind blowing in front of their eyes. But Han Fei didn't expect that he had already left the black market, but that person still dared to chase him out? Yes, Han Fei once again felt an extremely powerful arrow. Han Fei glanced at the unconscious Lin Miao Miao, glanced around, and then with a determined look, He went straight to a dark corner. Rumble, a house on the 3rd floor was smashed by an arrow. After a few seconds, a black-robed man walked openly in the cabin on the 3rd floor. This man was holding a longbow, looking at the ruins he had shot through in front of him, feeling that something was wrong. He punched out, shaking the ruins, only to find that there was no one in the ruins. Huh! Where is he?